Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Erothian Spoiler Podcast, unofficial spoiler podcast. I'm sorry. Today we have, as usual, myself and Sexel, and here with me always is.
Sunshine Steve. We'll have another guest today. Hey, Josh.
Yeah, the amazingly paradoxically named Unfunnyone.
Hello, hello. Hi. I'm not that funny. I'm more awkward than funny, but I
Depends on the
appreciate
mood.
it.
Man, I've been in your shoes before.
Yeah, I'm better with people. By myself, it just gets this weirdness.
I've been in your shoes before.
I totally haven't. No, I'm just not looking one of the first people to subscribe or whatever. No. So we're covering Planeswalkers. There's 5 this one. Sorry. Because we did skip one.
Yeah, we skipped the last episode. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
So this is episode 5 right here.
Planewalker 5. First Throne Keeper outside of the crossovers and the first Regicide outside of the crossovers.
Yeah, Scott's happy that those are over, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, in normal fashion, where it always messes with Scott, we have to do Regicide first.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Regicide because we kind of screwed, like, Doxy screwed them over without even knowing, right? With the sword thing and taking it was just it was such a script. It's funny. I love it. I love when we screw each other over.
Well, the funny thing is, Elijah's been wanting to go back to a Malta for a while anyway, so this kind of
and now he wants to go to
give him a
Taste.
reason. Yeah.
I don't know if that's Elijah or Messi.
I know.
To be fair,
True.
So
True.
yeah, but it's good. It does force their hand, and it lets them. I know where you guys aren't covering it this session, but like the last crossover episode, one thing that Lazlo told Ophios was that he has a potential to have allies at a much larger scale if he plays his cards right. And so, because Amolta would be very interested in taking down leadership of Paradel.
Yeah.
So
just make Elijah's work a lot harder because he's already been trying to go. Let's try and get along a little bit so we can get them on our side to face these things.
yeah. I mean, I do think Lady Arceum would be very interested in the Loper magic because it's so different than like any like Lazlo's probably the only being that has mastered Arcane Congress magic and then has learned a Maltese magic. So for him to come across magic that can't even be registered on his radar, that's a shocking thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that was such a good point that you you made it back in was it crossover 2, but even in crossover 4, like when you were pointing out all these things to Ophios, like, yeah, so I would like some information, and Ophios is like reluctant to give it to you, kind of. That was those were like huge discoveries. I think even for Lazlo, he was like, holy shit, there's actually magic I can't I can't look at. Yeah, so
it's cool because it kind of plays into what Scott was doing with Lazlo's master, Foss, where he's like, there's more to magic than just spells and incantation. You have to let go, you have to feel it, you have to do all these things. So it kind of plays into that aspect, and I think that's something that Lazlo is going to approach in the future. Like, maybe all this stuff that we do isn't needed. Maybe we don't need to do all these weird hand gestures and say these things and for magic to work. So we'll see how that works. I don't know if that will ever go down that path because we have so much crap to do as is. So
yeah.
Plus he won't give us a level up. So
well, that's because
everyone
told his roles. So
everyone's expecting Neil to roll better than you did because I mean he normally doesn't roll that.
Oh, I didn't. I spent just a little bit under you to put that one. I was spamming that button, so I was like, no, screw him.
Yeah, so they started off wanting to look in the Undead Keeper's basement again. And just like,
why? I don't understand why they would go back there. Like
the
that
only
was
way they have to get down there, and they're teleporting blind. They don't know if there's rubble in the way and that sort of thing for them to get stuck into. They can only do that once per day, so they're fucked for the rest of until the next day.
yeah. They're 24 hours. You're in there for 24 hours. Like,
yeah, and it's
this is
covered
Darkest
up.
Dungeon now.
It's covered up. There's no new oxygen going in, supposedly.
Well, the thing is that this was before the crossover. From the hour, from what I remember, that this little bit of conversation and stuff was supposed to be before our crossover. And he was just Ophios is still baby Ophios, so he was basically just trying to do with his new father figure, let's say. Told him,
And
so
like, he's the worst one to listen to. I feel like Aslan, I know means well, but it seems like everyone you run into from Ophios's race is shady to deal with at the minimum, right?
Yep.
And yeah, sure, let's rely on him. And then Elijah saved him, and he was like, no, he's incompetent. Like, dude, Elijah literally saved your butt. You would be dead right now. Oh, but whatever.
I think a little bit of that was DM frustration, but true, yeah.
Yeah,
no, I 100% agree with that though. Even though Aslan does have his race at heart, let's say, he does seem like he has ulterior motives. So,
oh, definitely. I feel like they all do. I feel like I the whole race is like a bad army celled like formation where each one is working independent of each other to try to accomplish the same goal. So if one falls, the whole structure doesn't fall, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like that's going to be successful when you're dealing with a very organized group like the Lopers seem to be very organized and have a stronghold on a whole nation that we clearly know now. Yeah, I mean, like,
logistics and communication.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's like Kingmaker, Throne Keeper. We ran into the dude's son a long time ago. His name came across. The Yovant's son guy for smuggling in people so long ago, and we had no idea what lopers are, but we still have no clue if that dude is a loper. We only know they only said that his father, the king, was a loper. So are they actually body snatching people? Because Yovantia was taken over way later. Like it wasn't part of that family, like, so what are they snatching people, drinking that stuff and changing their face? Like I'm very curious.
To drink the stuff now is the point.
That's fair. That's
I remember when we did our thing we messed with the Ophios, where people were disappearing and coming back with a little bit of weird personality for a little bit. I remember that little bit came up in our thing. So body snatching is a possibility for some of them, at least.
You know who would be a big boon to run into, information wise, would be I would say Absurgo 13, because that would be a cool thing, right? Everyone wants to meet him again. I think there's only like 2 people that are alive, and they're both in this chat right now that have talked to him. But Jen would have the most information aside from 13 at this point, because she was his companion.
Yeah, she just wouldn't work well for Regicide.
Oh no, definitely Throne Keeper, definitely not Throne Keeper, because of the Paradal a Maltese issue.
Well, Lazlo could probably try to pretend he's Arcane Congress.
But he wouldn't.
I know, but that would be a way. Yeah, but that'd be a way for Throne Keeper to do it, I guess.
Yeah, I would fail too. His communication checks are abysmal. Like, everyone's talking about how we like succeeded. It's because we always try to avoid rolling as much as we can, and when we do roll, it's our specialties. Like, I only roll for arcane and research stuff. Anytime I roll communications or perception, it's like a 4, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
That is true.
Yeah, to be fair, Fantasy Age isn't a good system for diversity of skills. It's very much like you are a powerhouse. Like Oscar is a powerhouse in battle. It's ridiculous how powerful he is in battle, to the point where I feel like Scott isn't throwing battles at us as much as he throws at everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't had a battle since
Episode.
we ran on the boat since before we ran on the boat.
Yeah.
And that was
Wow.
4 months ago. That was my move when I first moved to Boston. That was 4 months ago. So that's
And that, yeah.
that's our last battle. That's crazy.
And then even before that, I think it was like the slaves. No, it was with the.
I think there's
fake
been like
Paradise
3 or
people.
4.
I mean, I'm
battles
sorry, not fake
total.
Paradise people, but the.
we had the Arcane Congress was the first battle.
Didn't you
Yeah,
guys
we
have
had
one
that Durat saved us from.
Didn't you have one before that with the guys at the border town thing?
I don't think we had a fight.
Yeah, that's
yeah, because there was you had the magic missile.
Oh, you're right.
thing.
You're right.
Yeah,
You're right. You're right. You had where the Perrin were infiltrating.
I think they captured Chriselle and she went running to you guys, and you had magic missile.
Yeah, because someone dropped a curse. I think someone dropped a curse, so they separated Chriselle from us completely, and we had to. Oscar had to run, and I wasn't in the fight. I was like, I'm coming.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
Lazlo,
you're just magic artillery.
I mean, to be fair, Lazlo can't fight. He's not. He has like almost no offensive magics, so he's all support and defensive. So, I could remove. I mean, it hasn't come up, but Lazlo has the ability to destroy magic items in like a second. So, but it hasn't come up. So, plus he wouldn't want to. But anyways, back to Regicide, not me. I mean, it should be about me, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying in the chat, people love deep dives, dude. So going over character deep dives is way more interesting than.
Yeah, we can get to that. We can do that. I have no problem with that. And then is something I want to talk about at the very end. I want to tell you guys, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel for Ophios. I feel for Tyler and what he has to do with Ophios, because Ophios having his complete memory wipe is a very difficult task, I feel, for a player to play off without coming off as like stupid or gimmicky. And let's be honest, Tyler did play the gimmicky part during the crossover a couple of times. But
yeah, he tries to put the comedy in there, but
yeah, I feel for it, because let's be honest, season 1 Ophios, he's not a good companion in a group, right? He's very much a isolationist. He's very much a solo, fly by the wing of the air beneath his wings kind of person, right? Seat of his pants. I don't know the saying, whatever the saying is.
Seat of the pants is what we use, but
yeah,
I think I've heard the thing somewhere.
Yeah, I've heard both.
So like, so he kind of is being reverted to that, but worse, because he has Aslan whispering in his ear, manipulating him even more, right? And then Rena, on the other hand, I feel like Rena is playing that the player Rena is playing Rena, the character, very sensitive. Like, there's a lot of like loss that has happened to her recently, so she's playing it very tentatively and careful. She's being less open with her feelings, and trying to be more guarded, and so she's letting Ophios back in very slowly. And that's, I think, making Aslan's words mean more, because he doesn't have the extra he doesn't have that extra reinforcement of like Rena, a person that doesn't have this extra plans, have this secondary plan for him, versus Aslan, who, let's be honest, he's shady. He has his own ideas and what he wants. So I feel for Tyler so much on that.
It's weird, because it is that, but you can kind of get the sense that she's trying to she's very guarded against like Ophios because she doesn't want to be hurt anymore, but she also is trying to bring him back into the fold to be the old Ophios and update him on things that she feels are important. And it's yeah, so she's being pulled in two different directions, which is a very weird thing to play. It's like
It's good. It's good character dynamic because
mm,
Rena, for the straightforward, has. I mean, she's shown a lot of as a player. I'm shocked by how well she's adapted to it because Scott
mhm.
does not hold hands with his. Like
No.
he will screw you over.
Yeah, I think all three of us know that at this point.
and and this is her first campaign, and it's a heavy, dark themed campaign. It's not
Mhm.
like let's go look in the dungeon and find a treasure chest and fight a dragon, right? It's like, oh, the world is dying, save it, kind of campaign. And I feel like Rena's take on Rena has evolved so much that it's so deep, so much deeper than
Mhm.
I thought. I thought it was original. I thought it was so much more of like a 2D character where I was like, okay, it has its own, she has her own goals and her drive. All right, cool. But now it's like there's this complex emotions that are attached to everything, and like all these
Yeah.
small acts mean so much, and I think that's awesome. That's something I honestly respect as a player, to see another player evolve like that. That
I
just
mean,
amazes
this
me.
session, there's a lot of, okay, I like this one. Okay, I don't like this one. Okay, I like this one. Okay, I don't like this one. All the freaking characters that bumped into.
After what's his name? Ophios basically tells Rena, explains to Rena the plan that Aslan is, divulges to him even before the crossover about going back down into the tunnel and trying to investigate and grab some of the documentation that they weren't able to get before and some of the research. Um, we jump back to Kurzfall.
After finally
kind of.
deciding which path they're going to take and pissing off Joey.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I remember. I remember that part. I know that part. I don't. I don't understand why they go back to Curveball. To be fair, but it is whatever.
I
Yeah,
think
that
just
that
came
part
down
was a
to the
little weird,
least
but
amount of area to actually travel to get to the
Okay,
water. Because there
that's
was
fair.
teleportation between those two keeps, and then the gap between Adir and Goldiria was smaller at that part of the mountain there.
Yeah, you don't want to be in Peridot.
For long.
Period. Like,
For very long, no.
yeah, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Just poor
So they
Joey.
don't go to Ravenhold. They don't go to Ravenhold. They go back to the Mountain Keep, right?
Mm,
yeah,
Or well, actually,
after
they have stuff in Kurzweil first,
they have to deal with stuff in
right?
Coastal now, yeah.
after this, they deal
They
with
almost got
Kurzweil. They go
arrested
to Mountain
again.
Keep.
This is the party that continuously gets arrested.
Well, this time it was Elijah's. I mean, yeah, it was Messi's plan. He was like, "Yeah, let's just get arrested. Kith will come get us." Of course he will. Oh, so after the party is trying to go back toward the mountain keep, because I think they used. Wait,
They were going to use that bird thing, but that didn't
They
work out.
tried, but it failed. He said if
right,
you
right,
leave us,
right,
so
right.
nothing happened.
That's what it
So
eventually came
they
down to,
then
yeah. Because, oh, we could,
then they go over to
we'll,
Hanzo.
we'll just go talk to them while we're there, so, okay, it doesn't work now.
That's when they go into Hanzo and are like, yeah, can you tell Tristan to can you send a word that we're coming to get the sword from Tristan? And she's like, yeah, I want you to put so much punishment on that man for doing things
Next
that he
time I see
didn't.
him, I'm going to break his jaw. Okay, is there anything you want us to take to show that we're coming from you? That's like, yeah, good slap across the face. It's just,
I get why she's mad at like Chris Ellen and Tristan, but it's not really their
I know.
fault. They didn't know
Yeah,
they were taking that. Um,
yeah.
She's such a mean woman. Oh my goodness.
She
She's
is
so
ruthless,
mean.
dude.
I was joking that she was setting up some wall-mounted trophy of someone's jewels on the wall when it walked in.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She's so mean. Because I love the going back to the first crossover event, like Chris Ellen trying to like be like, "Hey, chill out," and then her just being like, "I'm gonna cut you. I'm gonna cut you so hard." And Chris Ellen's like, "All right." I pull out my crossbow. I'm like, "No, don't do that. No, that's
No.
not gonna change the situation. No."
No, they're not.
But
Apparently,
I
she
mean,
likes
it's hard.
Apparently, she likes Regicide though. She's been a lot
Oh,
more respectful to them.
I think she only likes them though because they gave her ore. She's like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
and
you
a
guys gave me
job.
ore."
Right.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
first
that's-
interaction she had with us was stealing weapons from her. Right. We took
And then
we peed on her turf.
And then all Kingmaker's broken promises to her.
Yeah.
Well, that's everybody. That's everybody, bro. That's
Regicide's the only ones that done right by her, and they burnt down her village. I think
So
that's
the party
when they
goes and they decide they need to go to the mountain keep at that point. And they walk up to the door and the guard's like, where are you going? You can't just walk into this door. And they're like, no, it's cool, dude. We used this door before. And they're like, no. So they forced the party to go and find someone else to give them permission to do so.
Oh, you know, Raren, right? Yeah, he's our chosen. Yeah, he gave us permission. I didn't hear anything about that. So you're not coming in. You're gonna
Just
leave.
name
Yes, you are. Like,
why would they think name dropping a very famous person's gonna work? Right? Like it'd be like me going up to a club and be like, "Yeah, I know Brad Pitt." Like, yeah, everyone knows Brad Pitt. Doesn't mean that you show us proof, please. Like,
yep. That's exactly what it is. Oh man. But afterwards, I think they're walking through the halls, and that's when they come up on Ravina, and she's willing to give them permission after she A gets information out of them, and B has them has them agree to deliver a letter to Arthur.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
Um,
Them trying to lie to her was just a mistake.
yeah, I mean, she's a spy master, one, and like, why would you trust Regicide to deliver anything though? Like, I feel like they're the group that would be like, yeah, we'll do it with a nice parcel with like royal goods, and it'd be like, oh, there's a fight. We're gone.
What?
All right. Like,
I mean,
just
they did have to, jumping way towards the end, they did have to clean up their camp really quickly. Who knows whether they remembered it or not.
that's true. That's true.
Don't give Scott ideas.
Who's saying he didn't already have that already?
I know, right? Oh man.
I don't think Scott would do that, but he might.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, dude. After my Patreon session, I'm like,
but he usually doesn't like if you don't say something, right?
Mhm.
He usually doesn't do that. Usually,
Yeah, he usually gives you a chance to correct your
yeah, or like the minor stuff, right? He looks over it, right? Like you don't have. He's not like the DM where you're like, oh, what are you gonna eat tonight? Go hunting. You're hungry, fatigue. Like he's not that kind of DM. He's just the kind of DM that'll throw a bunch of slimy monsters at you while you're trying to sleep.
Not saying anything about that GURPS game. Yes.
One interesting thing that happened with this interaction, though, is that when Ophios brought up Lady RCM's name, Ravina had some kind of reaction, and Elijah was able to he was able to pick up on it, but he wasn't able to see if it was intentional or not. And I was like, oh my god! But and I'm not sure um, if this is true or not, but maybe Lady Arceum has some children that she gave away.
I think it's worse than that, to be honest with you. I don't think it's Lady Arceum having children. I think it's her using them to put out hits.
Oh.
Um Based off of what she has done in the past that Lazlo knows, right? That can't repeat. She is not against anything to get the ends that she needs, it seems. She's willing to manipulate her own cohorts memories to get the vote that she needs to pass training lessons. Can you imagine on more serious issues? Like I could see her being a person that uses rubies and ambers very frequently. Not diamonds, but rubies and ambers. I could see. Ambers are the study ones, right?
Yeah, those are the writing ones. Yeah.
I was also thinking, if not her daughter, that she may have done something to or been one of the people who set Ravina up, because Ravina seems like a person who would know people's names. And
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
but I
could
like
see
your
that.
idea better.
The only reason I wouldn't say the only reason I wouldn't say anything about kids is the fact that in a Malta, magic is tied to
True.
bloodlines, right? And so if it like Ravina was tied to Lady Arceum, like that was her mom or something, or whatever, she would probably show some type of magical acuity to it, like intuit, and she hasn't at all yet that we know of. So I mean, it's possible, but I don't think it's as likely as her being like, oh, she's a frequent person that uses us. I think that's more likely. It's more interesting if she was her mom, but
she also informs the party that goblins in the area are sapient, and
and that Arthur had a little misunderstanding with them that drove them towards some rivals. I think she settled on.
I mean, do you think that matters? Do you think that matters to Regicide if they're sapient
no,
or not?
I mean it doesn't.
I mean, I think it only matters if they're undead or not. So they end up being able to have a meal and that sort of thing, and Elliot's able to pull Reno away for a moment.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I wasn't there for this part, so you guys are telling me stuff that's like new, and I'm like,
So okay,
ooh.
so Elliot, were you there for Elliot at all? So
No, I left after like the first hour, and then I came back like the last hour when they were fighting.
So one of the things, Elliot, what happened is after they went to, well, Ravina told them to go and eat first and rest up or whatever because she needed time to draft the letters to Arthur, probably telling him that the chosen are gone and all the important state stuff. So
imagine if Regicide actually read
I know, right? Well, that's what I'm concerned. I'm like, you're the spy master. Well, she must have written it in code because both her and Arthur were kind of vying for the spy master position, but maybe not. I don't know. But anyway, so Elliot is able to meet them while they're in whatever mess hall they're in or whatever cafeteria or whatever. And he hears Ophios talking and he's interested in Ophios's accent and he's like, I've never heard that accent before, and he mimics it, but he tries to explain that he's not doing it in any harmful or demeaning manner, that he's like, trying to mimic the accent to see where Ophios may be from. Ophios is still baby Ophios, so he's like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. And then
yeah, very evasive with the questioning. Yeah.
Of course. They're the most suspicious group of players. Jeez.
So I forget what brings this up, but Ophios is Elliot suggested Ophios study philosophy. And he's like, Ophios is like, I don't know what philosophy is. So after that short conversation, he asks Rena to come and meet him, and he tells a guard, where are they meeting? Oh, tells they end up meeting in front of the dungeon, and he informs the guard that some stuff is happening somewhere else. Go away, basically. And he talks to Rena at this point, and he at first he eases into the conversation by explaining, by asking, how is Ophios doing? And Rena says, he's doing like as well as he can right now. And he's like, yeah, it's kind of like having something ripped from you, right? Like it's difficult having
Oh,
information
that's
ripped,
good. I like that.
or something important ripped from your own being. And Rena's like looking at him,
and loss of your friends and family and that sort of thing, because you also knew about the information that's set over yourself as well.
Yeah.
Apparently.
that
Yeah, that's good. That's a good like tagline to like get people interested. That's good. I like that.
And
Yeah.
he basically goes in and tries to explain to her that magic that she used may have been the last time she could
That Gwen
ever
used.
use magic.
Yeah.
Oh, Gwen. I'm sorry. Yeah. The
Yeah.
magic that Gwen used
Gwen, yeah.
may be the last time that Gwen can even use magic. And he explains that Gwen has an affliction, and that he says straight out that you're only picking up one side of the story, which is Elijah. Yes, Elijah was experimented on, but Gwen was experimented on her own father. And not only was
By her own father. Yeah.
not only was she experimenting on her father, but she also went as far as to kill her father and watch him burn. And
oh God, I love my boy Elliot. Oh man, I love Elliot.
He basically just ripped into her for being an ass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gwen's a friend of Elliot's. So.
They like, because it's easy as players to get in this black and white mentality of like, oh, when you cross this line, you hurt my friend, you're the bad guy, right? And I feel like Regicide falls into that a lot, especially with like Ophios' character, who's a lot of it's black and white with Ophios, right? I really like the fact that he was like, hey, like Rena, there's a reason that like she's in pain too. Like there's a reason that she's a person. She has her own story. Like you shouldn't just base it all off Elijah, who is biased as hell.
Yeah, Rena goes so you've only got one side of the story to it, and it's like, no, I actually did some digging. I know both sides of the story.
Yeah.
Stories are kind of my thing.
Yeah, that's another thing. Going back to like the Ophios thing, like Elliot's probably the worst person for Ophios to try to lie to with languages or any type of information, because that's his thing. He is the linguist, right? He is he was my when I sent Scott a letter, and he's adapted a lot over these years. That when I first told Scott how I wanted him to be, but he was pretty much a magicless bard. Was my whole mentality. He was very into arts and like into like telling stories and collecting information and distributing. He wanted, as information goes out, that's his life goal, is to get as much information out as possible. And that was my way of trying to help Kingmaker with their kingdom building, right? To have people know about the country and come to it and stuff. That was way before we knew 90% about the world. Like our first game with me and Steve in Patreon, we didn't know anything about the world at all. We were in a bar and a snake attacked the dude, and we're like, all right, kill the snake.
I started drinking next to him quietly and that sort of thing, and all of a sudden he's being murdered by a snake.
And then, you find clothes outside, and we're like, oh, it has to be a druid, wild shape. We didn't know anything about Slowco, Lopers.
I will say we did kill it. We didn't let it get away. That's just the one little thing we didn't actually kill it.
You gotta have Tyler Hunt, your other character.
We killed both. Like we killed the Loper too, because in the bar he was like, oh, he had poison in him and he's slowly dying, and my character's like, I didn't hesitate. Remember, I killed him. I was like, I'm just gonna cook the Grom because he's dying slowly. So
it was at that point where we weren't gonna be able to save him.
Yeah, I was like, technically, we're the first ones to kill Loper. Just saying, me and Steve, the first ones.
To be fair, I didn't kill a single thing that session. I just damaged things instead. And freaking Josh and
I killed everything. I was such a I stole all the kills because I was like I attack and then there. Oh yeah, he had 2 HP left.
And then
Um,
and after you
the
caught the arrow,
next session I got my payback.
then after you caught the arrow, it was the freaking mushroom killing everything. It was just like,
I
I
wouldn't
guess
have done
I'm
that, though.
blameless.
Yeah, but Certes wouldn't have done that. Like what happened in that cave, he would not have done that.
I wouldn't have done that.
Anyways, not to derail the podcast too much.
I do have to get around to
You
saying
do have
thanks.
2 of the first people. You have 2 of the first people in the world. So right here.
We'll probably come back to it in Throne Keeper, buddy.
Yeah, probably. Anyways, no, but Elijah would be a horrible person to lie to.
Elliot.
Yeah, Elliot would be. Yeah.
Or Elliot.
Elijah, you're good at lying.
if
It
Elliot-
doesn't matter. Just lie to Elijah all the time. He doesn't even.
But once Elliot gets on that scent, he's gonna be like, I want to learn more.
Yeah.
I want to learn more. And he's gonna dig, and he's gonna dig and dig, and he's gonna spread the information because he doesn't keep the shit to himself. He wants to spread the information as much as possible. So, I wonder what's gonna make of that. Granted, I don't think Slowcos have that much information lying around. But if he gets Elliot on the Loper train, that would be a very useful way to get more information about Lopers,
or at least turn some of the Parallel citizens against some of the higher ups.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know this. I don't know if Scott said it, but what I spent my BP on was dance halls across the country.
Nice.
That's cool, dude.
Yep. So there was a lot of dance halls that Elliot made in different cities and stuff like that. That
where
probably
is
hasn't come up yet.
that?
But because I know everyone wanted me to chip into like an academy and all these things. I was like, that Elliot has a goal, guys. I'm sorry, Elliot wants like.
Yeah, no, I thought it was like he was trying to build an academy somewhere, but that is really cool.
I know if my ones ended up basically being going, okay, we've told you off. Now we're going to set up on the right foot again. And hopefully, we won't make the same mistakes again. That was being too optimistic.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy that Regicide is getting different takes on the adventure now instead of just stuff that they're learning from like, oh, Lopers are bad. Like, right? I'm hoping this gives them a more well-rounded view of the actual world and war that's going on. So that makes me feel promised. And the whole Gwen thing, I feel like it's an awesome storyline, but it's wasted on that group because they're not the information group. They're not the group that likes to like divulge and go deep into lore. They're the kind of group that wants to gather stuff and then kind of act upon it, right? Kingmaker is like in the middle, and then Throne Keeper's on the totally opposite end, where we just gather information forever.
Well,
and don't
the only reason I feel like it's wasted is because nobody wants to tell Elijah that Gwen, there's something wrong with Gwen, and that because even Chris Ellen had the chance to, but she just wanted to gather more information, and she didn't bring up that something was wrong with Gwen. And I don't see Rena doing that either because Rena's like very stubborn. Like she's still
yeah, she's also very loyal.
Yeah,
she's very loyal to Elijah. So she's like,
I think I wrote it
doesn't
down.
matter to her.
And Elijah already said he doesn't want to talk about it anymore. And she was like, cool, we're never going to talk about it ever again. Don't worry about it, bro.
I didn't write it down word for word, but it's basically, it's like, yeah, you're a harsh person. I know those types. I work for them. Basically comparing her to the Chosen.
Yeah.
Like you're stubborn. We'll give you all the evidence in the world and you'll still drag your feet.
Yeah.
I really hope Lazlo comes across Gwen. I really hope he does. Because that was the main thing that I was pushing Doxy to try to get information on. Because it was like, if Lazlo finds out about this thing that's going on, it would be a game changer for Lazlo's plans in the future. I mean, if there's a tailored affliction that can remove magic from people, that's a big game changer when you have an enemy that is all magic. That's all magic users. So like that's something that I wish we could find out. I don't know if Throne Keeper is going to ever go down the path long enough to have the Arcane Congress thing resolved, because Arcane Congress is not a small enemy. Even if you take out the head, it doesn't defeat it doesn't stop it, right? It would be like going to the Paradel and be like, oh, I killed your commander, and okay, the whole army just surrenders. Like, it doesn't happen that way. So I don't know if we'll ever get that far down, but that is something that when the campaign ends, if Lazlo knows about it, this would be what he would do afterwards, and then Scott would adapt the world, knowing Scott, based off of what I said my character would focus on. But now that my character, sorry, Regicide, I'm bad about this.
We'll get more into that during Throne Keeper, because I did want to get some more information on Lazlo and go into a little bit more of a deep character dive. But one cool thing about Elliot, though, is even as passionate as he was, like he was really telling like Rena off. He was like, how can you walk through these halls, and like how can you even have permission to walk through these halls while there's a smirk on your face about my friend suffering? And he was digging into Rena about her nonchalantness about Gwen's situation. But he ended off the entire conversation with, hey, oh, you're from Taziendale, right? And he did a little Taziendale dance that was common with the rural folk, because Rena is a country girl. And then he was like, I can offer you some more dances in the future if you ever come in. Yeah. So even as passionate as he was at that moment, he still had the mentality of, yeah, but let's not break these kind of these relationships just because I have an issue with you right now. Let's let me end it off with something light, which is really cool to see. And then he let the party use the mountain keep. I mean, use the door.
Yeah, I mean, Elliot is a politician at this point, right? And I think that was Elliot the person defending his friend, and then Elliot the politician being like, look, let's not screw these over, because these are people that the Chosen do have an interest in. Not necessarily that they might be useful, but that they have, that they're his boss, his friends have an interest in. So he doesn't want to screw them over. So I think that was Elliot the politician coming out, and it kind of scares me if Scott's playing it that way, because that Elliot's a good liar, but he's never really.
Well, I don't think he was lying about his interest in Rena, knowing that, because after a little while the conversation had simmered down. Like he simmered down, and then he was like, oh, you're from Taziendale. He was doing that, oh, I recognize where you're from and your accent, and it sounds more toward the country side than the city side of Tazien. And he was going into, so I don't think it was like he was playing the two sides of it. I think he was really upset at first, and then he calmed down and he was like, yeah. Okay. All right. I don't think it wasn't just a switch like that.
Yeah. It wasn't like, you are the worst person ever. If you would like to
no, that's more Ravina.
Yeah, that's Ravina. So the party ends up going to the Mountain Keep, and they I didn't even write this down, but they begin looking for horses, because they plan on leaving. And so they go,
and they had an encounter at the BBEG door.
Yeah, that's the important part. That's the important part. I just wanted to, before we even got to the good part, I just wanted to ease us in a little bit. They talked to Isaac Trode. No one.
That's after they got through the door.
Oh, is that after
the doors? Yeah. So they have a guard down there at the door with gloves on to open the door and that sort of thing.
Oh, they do see all the traps.
Why do you have gloves on?
Yeah,
Kingmaker. They see all the traps along the way. They're slowly filling in the spike pit trap. They see like where the ball thing, like people have moved bars and things like that, so they can get through, and that's a little bit, and just like there's something on here. And they see there's a guard standing by the door and with gloves on. He's like, "You going out?" Yep. Okay. Opens the door. And it's like opens the door for them, lets them through, and they're like, "Why are you wearing gloves?" Oh, because this door, if you don't, it's designed a certain way, sort of thing. Like, let's investigate the door. And Rena rolled a natural one. And you know how she just got her hand healed.
It's the
No,
same hand.
no.
It's the same hand.
Dude.
It's not as fucked up as it was before. But she's basically got a week to find a clerk.
Yeah, she. Remember,
Oh.
the door has a lot of rust or a rust spell on it. I don't remember, but anyway, she.
There's a lot of spikes, so if you turn it one way, it's going to rip your hand,
Yeah.
which is the way that opens the door. But if you turn it the other way, it's fine. So if you're closing the door, you're fine.
So now she possibly has
The
tetanus.
guard was doing everything to like, no, cool, go through. You're fine. I've got gloves on. I'm fine. Don't worry about the door. Let's investigate the door.
I mean,
Ah!
she
Oh,
rolled a
man.
12.
Why? It wasn't even a trap. It was just a door. It was just a thing that Scott was like a nod back to the earlier game. And they're like, let's turn
Well,
this into a trap.
he went over
Oh,
detail
man.
about the gloves, and I think that set off in Rena's mind. Oh, these gloves are special. Why is he wearing these gloves just to turn a
Why do you
door?
need metal gloves for turning
Yeah,
the door handle? Yeah, it's just
Well, she found out.
yeah,
found
she
out,
found
Mike.
out.
we don't know if she has tetanus, guys. She rolled a 12, but she probably has tetanus.
Lock jaws first. We'll find
Yeah,
out.
yeah. Literally, it was like, if your jaw starts clicking, you really need to hurry up and find the clerk. But usually you've got a week before that happens. So
Yeah, man, that was bad. He does give them more information.
It's
He says that if they plan on leaving the valley, if they plan on staying in the valley, Athena will protect them. But once they leave, that is it. They are on their own. And
and they might want to block up their ears and make lots of loud noises.
They literally said that.
Yeah. Don't remember whether it was Isaac or whether it was that guard, but one of them definitely said it.
Oh man, and they didn't listen. I'm gonna guess. All right, like buy some wax or something, or like get the candle wax. I don't care. Do something. Put it in your ears. Oh man, look at this next thing in your notes. That's sad.
So then they went to Aslan next, I believe it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. How did okay, so it says here that when they meet up with Aslan, he informs Ophios that Ka has died due
Yeah.
to old age.
Hmm.
Which makes sense, right? Because their race is known to be short lived.
Yeah.
How did Ophios take that?
Ophios in front of Aslan. Because okay, so I want to bring up something. It seems that since Ophios has been reborn from the egg, he's been very emotional and like hiding it off of instinct rather than trying to hide it off instinct rather than trained, that affects me, but it'll be fine, I'll just get revenge, like he used to be. Now you see that he's affected and he's crying a lot more. Well, he's shedding a lot more tears than he used to. Like even in the crossover episode when I think that was 3, when he found out that
Yeah.
about when he remembered about his clutch being destroyed, it affected him way more than it did in the past. Like when he found out when he saw it, it was just a burning rage, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get revenge." But when he remembered it, it was like it so much more painful to him, and it seemed like it.
Well,
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense if you think about the way that they're raised, right? Where they're raised to be hardened
Mhm.
emotionally. They're constantly fighting each other. They're killing each other off. So they become numb to these feelings of death. But when Ophius found out about, like, he remembered parts of his training with Ka, is what Scott said previously, not his training with the beforehand. So when he learned about his clutch being destroyed, that was pretty much his first insight on death, really. a death of his own kind, of his only family. So I think in Tyler's mind, he took that as the rage plus the inexperience to deal with the emotion of death.
Yeah.
And then mixed it up and did that. And I really like that. I really liked how he reacted.
So
I do want to preface that with this episode. It started off with Ophios asking Aslan, "Did you know what happened to my clutch?"
Yeah.
And Aslan going, "Yeah, we knew about it. We found the mushroom person. He's dead now. Definitely dead now. We know that the gnome's dead because he died fighting outside. We still haven't found the hobgoblin yet." Yes. Surprisingly, Ophios didn't give the name. I'm like, huh.
Yeah, because I used Winifred's wisdom to make sure I found that information, and I told him, bro. Yeah. I told him.
I know. I'm really grateful for that. Thanks for saving my ass again.
I mean, it's Ophios, so it's it's still up in the air. So let's see.
So
it's just I personally don't think Durat would be very happy with them anyway, because I think at this point he's more pro Lightbear than Slicker, because he did get bit a couple of times too.
To be fair though, Durat's not some chump change anymore either.
Yeah,
they would have to send someone like Ophios power level to take him out.
Apparently, there's 6 of them hunting for him. So.
Yeah, but you can't see Durat. Like Durat's sneaky as hell.
I know.
Like,
I walked up to you guys. I walked up to you guys, waved at you. You guys couldn't see me, so I had to fucking talk.
He is so sneaky. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Durat doesn't do a lot of damage, right? Durat's not a damage focused rogue. But you can never see him to hit him. So, I mean. A lot of people don't know, but when we did a prison break episode in the Patreon thing, and my character Xander and Durat were like hiding because we were gonna die from this dude walking around like super powerful Arcane Congress magic user.
I think Scott ended up saying he was a 9th level one, and I think we're like 5th level at that point.
Yeah,
and it was just 2 of us. It was just 2 of us, while the other 2 are fighting with the guards and the commander.
And Durat had us in a corner and hid, and we were able to get away with not being seen.
Yelling and
I was like, oh, because my character was unconscious because Xander can't take a hit. He's just not. That's not what he's built for. But yeah, it was really that was an amazing fight. I wish we recorded that one in the boat, the ship combat we had on Patreon. Those are 2 things I think people would like to have watched. That was an amazing.
It's brought up often, especially that boat episode. He only brings that up when he needs to jab Joey.
Joey had an amazing first round.
He did. He genuinely did.
He had like Naruto, like jumped on the boat. It was like super fast.
I think he killed like 2 people in like the first.
Yeah. He had blur on him, and then he falls into the water.
He got knocked into the water by a gust of wind. Yeah.
And that was it. That was it for that character. Like that was it. And then Steve jumps onto a horse. With the horse.
I use a spell to transform my random riding horse into a war horse and ride onto the fucking boat and kick the captain into the water.
The horse just jumps onto the boat.
He dies the next couple of rounds later.
And then my character jumps in the water to try to save Umbra, Joey's character, and just fails. It was so many fails. It was so many fails in a row. That was just you were doomed to die, Joey. Like that was.
Oh man!
Once we got out of range, once you guys got out of range, the Healy boy it was up.
Yeah. Anyways, me and Steve could talk about Patreon games for a long time. We've been playing a lot of games together for a while now. All right. So he started. He got emotional when he found out about Call.
It was
like
It wasn't like he was going into like lots of like, oh, I'm so sad, but it's just like definitely like his tone changed.
Yeah. He was trying to hide it from Aslan, but he was definitely affected by it. Yeah, because his question, what brought it up is that after Aslan gave him the information about the rat, he asked where Ka was because Ka wasn't there at the when the clutch was destroyed. He didn't remember him. And he was like, "Yeah, Ka died to old age, dude." And then that's when he started to choke up for a second, and then his demeanor changed. I think it changes when he's around Aslan to be more Sloko, but or what is expected of a Sloko.
Yeah, yeah, more defensive, more I get that. Did him and Rena talk about it at all?
No.
It's so regicide. All right. It's so regicide.
But
you also
hey,
had
information. It dies with me.
You also had Ophius asking Aslan his opinion of going to Lady Arceum to get his memories back, and that's the thing, because he said that she would see everything that he remembers. And Aslan's answer, I believe, was, "Do you know who you can trust with that information?" So basically left it up to him.
Oh, that sounds like a double-handed comment, right? Like, you know who you can trust with this. Not them is what I'm implying here.
Well,
all right.
There was a little bit of, hey, I trust that who can be trusted, because he has a little bit more faith and respect for old Ophios who took down 3 Lopers, but now it's kind of like, oh yeah, you're a little kid, so be careful. Don't have me having Sloko come hunt you.
Yeah. Oh.
He also gave away his growing shrinking blade to Aslan so that Aslan can study, and he let him know that Rena has one as well. So
Aslan's basic answer to that was, "Oh, that's neat. I've got a bunch of metallurgists and things here. A lot of people that understand metals and that sort of thing. It's going to be interesting to see what it's made of and that sort of thing." So.
That's shocking to me because they don't give away weapons. Regicide is the stingiest group when it comes to well, no, I can't say that because Kingmaker has a vault of freaking potions and scrolls, but still the amount of stuff that they wouldn't give away, I'm shocked. Especially Rena's Dark Souls, right?
Yeah.
She just has that.
Yeah, no, that becomes a problem. That becomes a problem later on when they turning up.
Well, if you ever see the first LI campaign, she's like Maggie's character Ramen, where he was just carrying around 4 different great axes, 3 battle axes, and after a while Scott was like, "No, this is ridiculous. You can't have all these weapons on your back."
Yeah, it's crazy because it's like, where are you holding that? At least the shrinking blade makes sense, right? You can make it. I'm just chewing on a toothpick, and you're like, "Shing!" What? But she's how many? She has battle axe, a great axe.
I think it's 2.
She has the shrinking blade.
She has the devil axe, which is I think another battle axe. She has a hand axe.
Well, the hand axes are small, right? That makes sense. You usually carry they're light weapons, right? But
I think she said something along the lines of the hand axe is the only thing she's had since the start.
Yeah, that's become her model.
Scott's very unforgiving about taking weapons too, man. He's just like, no, you lost it. What was it? The lamest one was when I dropped a curse. I dropped the curse to have what's his face, Grayris, punch
one on the way out.
Rayrin in the face. No, Rayrin. I said Rayrin wants to talk so much, junk. I was like, fine. I dropped the curse. And I was like, let him have one last punch, right? And then Scott was like, he took your sword. I'm like, whoa. Yeah. Oh yeah, I was like, whoa, that. I was like, Scott, I didn't ask for that, man.
Let me just say that if he ever pops up in the GURPS game, everyone's going to be looking for that axe because it's living metal, and everyone else is copper and cruddy so except for self, but
yeah. What do you guys, TL2 or something like that?
Yeah, TL2 was.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that curses are evil.
Yeah, they're
Scott's
a
campaigns,
lot,
man.
dude.
They're worth
They don't have an immediate counter like trump cards do. And if you're using a fortune's favor for a curse, that curse was worth it because someone had to spend something that cost like 3 times it not to stop it.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I've only dropped one trump card, and it was to make the walls fall on Vigil, because I was like, yeah, screw these impervious wall bull, whatever. And so I had the walls drop down. A lot of it was to mess with Joey, because I gave Joey a lot of junk about it. But uh that I feel like was so expensive compared to having the axe that one loved being stolen. Like
That Hunter put all that effort into making too.
yeah, well, screw her. She hates us, so I don't like her.
She
My
doesn't
character
hate
never
you
met
guys.
her,
She
but
hates Chris Ellen and Tristan.
I think that matters. She's gonna see Chris Ellen with us, and she's gonna be like, "Oh, you guys are with this," and then Lazlo's gonna be like, "What is wrong with Chris Ellen?" And then Oscar's gonna be like, "Want to fight, mate?" No, he wouldn't. But so okay, so so they didn't go down into
No,
the
they were
mountain,
just discussing
right?
it.
They didn't go.
They were thinking about
No,
doing it.
discussing
Okay.
it. The thing we're doing on the way back, because
Good,
Yeah.
because I want to go down there, and I want to go
Yeah,
there.
I picked up
before
on that.
them.
But they wanted to get horses so that
They went and talked to
Ezek, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, "We only got horses for plowing fields." I had to make sure I finished that in.
We have a spare donkey you can use. Yeah. It's like, no, we can't use. We need more than just a donkey, so we're going to have to not take anything. And then he gives them directions to Drowstone, where they could probably get more horses, which is it's funny because Joey put in chat somewhere along the lines of, "I know what you're planning, Stephen." And I'm like, I was planning something. Because it was right about the time I dropped Daddy's dice for Scott.
Oh.
I know what you're planning. I'm like, I was planning something. I do have to admit that it was just a little bit funny that he's put all that effort to get a rabbit hold in. I built Redstone for Kingmaker, and everyone else is going to see it first. Like, okay, and he's like, I built Ravenhold for Regicide, and Regicide's not going to go to it. And like, I told Joey afterwards, yeah, Regicide doesn't go to the towns that you make for them unless they're a prison.
Yeah.
I mean, Regicide, they're like they are the most classic tropey adventuring group for the DM, because they literally don't follow clues or advice or anything at the DM. They're like shiny metal, and they'll go this way, and you're like, yeah, you guys heard dragons roar. He's like, oh, sneak. It's like, okay, they don't. They're not the group that focuses on like studying and trying to learn the lore. They focus on getting the stuff, like getting things done, which I appreciate. The problem is they're so independent that they don't have a governing body to point them at a direction and have them fire at it. The only thing that's closest is the Lopers, that they have like a driven course that they will go at. You know?
To be fair though, when they were discussing where to go, Scott was like, "Oh, thank God you didn't go to Ravenhold, because then I would have had to actually start making up bullshit." So
Such a liar. He makes up everything. He does not plan before a session.
I think
they said before that. Oh, so we're not going to Ravenhold because now you can't do all the things that you're planning. It's like, I hadn't planned anything in the first place.
There's no point with that group. There's no point. Like, I think Kingmaker, Throne Keeper is a little bit better, because we're like, this is what our plans are, and we end up going towards them. We get sidetracked with talking and stuff like that, but we usually end up going to the places that we say we're going to. Kingmaker, I don't know, man.
It's all over the place.
Yeah, they're kind of all over the place. But our Regicide, oh no, definitely will not go where you want them to go. They are a cat. They will not go to that corner. They will not sit on. Oh, here, I got you this really nice bed in the box. Like, they're not going to do what you want them to do.
The reason they're going to Dresstone is because it's on the way to where they're
Yeah.
going. So it's not like anyone was actually pointing them to go there.
I'm really interested to find more about what's going on with Yondis.
I do
though.
too.
Like, I feel like there's a lot of things going on in the background that
Oh,
maybe Messi and Scott know, but I mean Scott definitely knows, but maybe Messi's involved with it. But I'm really interested to know because I hope I don't screw him over.
Yeah, I don't think
looking
Messi
forward
knows
to that
anything,
part.
dude. His
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah,
It's fair.
because he didn't even know who his parents were. He definitely didn't know that we were having a Yondis episode. I think the last time we had a Yondis episode, he was like, "There's a Yondis episode."
Well, they tried to do that Yondis only episode. Remember, and the internet
Right.
failed on Messi hardcore.
Yeah.
So I think that's where ever since then it got stalled much more, and I'm wondering if he's waiting for Elijah to get the out by going to a Malta, to where Elijah can get his own path and start following that, and then he would do okay. Next week we're not doing a session with the group; we're just doing Messi, and then have Messi's
Yeah, I think that's
catch-up
what's gonna
kind of
happen.
thing, which never works out because Scott can't wrap anything up in a single session. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that works. I mean, we've seen how much Plane Walkers has been going, and he's like, you could tell like Tesh and Jake and Neil are only getting half of what Scott in his mind thought you were going to get done that session. So,
That's true.
and I'm really interested in Yondis's path. Like, how are they going to bring the two gaps together? Maybe that's why we're still where we are. Maybe we'll run into Yondis and we'll get to talk to him, and Yondis will travel with us back to Amolta, and that's when he'll connect with Regicide or something like that. Which would be an interesting thing. And I wonder if Messi would even be interested in doing that, because it's a lot to get asked for another 4 to 5 hours of gameplay out of someone for a week, especially now that Messi has the other game with on LI, and he's been working with Oxy on games too. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because eventually Yondis and Kroll are gonna have to cross paths.
Yeah. Oh, that would be a really interesting crossover.
Yeah, it will be.
Jake.
It'll be very interesting to see whether or not Kroll, being partially undead, can survive coming off the thing. Is my thing.
I think didn't they say while he's bonded he won't die or something like that?
Something along those lines,
that
yeah.
was
But it's going to be interesting to see. Because unfortunately, Esmond's the only other one we've seen that wasn't Abstergo 13.
Yeah. But also, Esmond was just a standard dude. Like, he was just a Zen monk, a Zen archery monk. He wasn't anything special in that aspect. He wasn't even smart. Like, he was a dumb dude. So he just, I mean, he did a good thing, but mainly because he kind of had to, because Scott pointed out, hey, dude, you're getting older by the second. Like, you're a human, you're getting older, you're getting gray hairs, you can see a beard, you can feel a full beard, you see the hair is white. And so I was like, well, I'm going to die, so I'm going to sit here. And he had a country accent. And that's how that happened. It wasn't a big grand plan or anything from the beginning. Jen's was a bigger grand plan, I think, from the beginning. Jen's plan was kind of sneaky.
I did make her to be a little tyrant, but
yeah, he did. So I don't think Yondis is going to be interested. I don't know if he'll even give up the crystal, to be honest with you.
I don't know about that either.
That's a powerful item.
Yeah.
Although if he does give it up and manages to avoid Osuga and his dad goes for the crystal, that would be interesting.
I don't think he'll run into Arsugo. I think that will get resolved way earlier. But I don't know. For all I know, Yondis has already gone through the temple at this point.
Well, he just went to High Gwen. He doesn't know
Time-wise.
the temple yet, right?
Yeah, but Hogwen's like less than a day
True.
travel.
But
to
I
that
don't
temple.
think he's gonna just.
So
He's Yondis. He's not going into random scary
that's
places.
fair. That's fair. But he's still stuck in the time paradox
True.
time period.
Yeah, that might be true.
So, and that's. I mean, I guess that's not that long ago in game. That's only like, I guess for RC it's like a week and a half now, and for us it's like a week. So it's not that long ago. So maybe. I mean, it would be interesting for Yondis to meet up with Throne Keeper, and then that's how they get reunited is by us traveling to Amolta together, or he just finds out from us that they're headed and he heads there
That would
himself.
be cool, yeah.
Which would probably be the easier, player wise, like time management wise, would be the easier method.
So
I'm so bad about you keeping this podcast on.
I don't mind it.
It's not. It's Scott, guys. It's not me. It's not me. It's Scott that gets us derailed on every campaign.
Dude, I don't mind it.
So yeah, they bump into an old trump card of mine that Kingmaker hadn't cleaned up yet.
When do they ever? Kingmaker doesn't clean up stuff unless they have to.
Yeah. So for all the messes they have to clean up for Regicide, I think there's at least 2 that Regicide has to clean up from them now.
Yeah.
I mean, gibbering, what is it, gibbering Mouthers or whatever?
Yeah, that's phase 4 of them, and then there's 30 more coming.
They're so bad. Like, they're so... I wonder what's going to happen, though, because I did show up. That's when I showed up, and she was using the axe. And I know Rena is playing it as Rena in character doesn't know, but at some point she has to be hinted at because I mean, literally a demon popped out the tip. So like, there has to be some acknowledgement that something's up with this weapon. But I'm wondering what, like, if they'll get aid because she's doing so much help to the devils.
That's what I'm thinking. Because we haven't seen.
I mean, it probably have to be a lot, but I think they're very much just going to sit there going, "Why interfere with a good thing?"
Well, this is what I would think would happen: is they would show up and stun them and let Rena kill them because they want those souls.
Yeah,
maybe.
It also points
like
it also
provide aid but not kill. Provide aid but not kill.
Yeah, I mean, it also points to something about the experiments with the mole, with how many souls she's ripping out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What was it?
15
heavy souls or something.
Yeah,
like
it's like 15.
To make heavy souls in order to make the 12s and 13s, and it's just like there's lots of souls in those things.
Is creepy.
They weren't able to combine them all.
Yeah, which is very creepy because if you think about how they made those, because they had of Circle 13, they had that embryo of the other 13 Kingmaker. Was that creature made by like infused souls, like, or was that a natural, like, oh, we're breeding these 2 people, but we're gonna cast spells using the souls as power source, or is this creature literally the embodiment of condensed soul
refined
magic
and condensed souls? Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, so that.
But because they have to get them all together, not all split, not all fractured, and everything like the gibbering mouthers have. It seems like.
Well, it could also be the binding ritual that Lazlo knows now, where they get these souls and they have these heavy souls, this vat of heavy souls, and they just bind all those souls to this new infant, this new
fetus.
Yeah.
This new.
Because there's 2 of those now. One that Kingmaker destroyed, and one that's walking around in the fucking mess of that keep.
Yeah, so like it would be an interesting, because if let's say Lazlo runs into that, Lazlo might be able to see that it's bonded and unbond them. Maybe. And what would happen?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know, because you're talking about an integration at the start of life versus integration when something already has some type of consciousness.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a very different thing. It's different integration. It's not like the whole Cadus thing, right? Where Cadus, there's 2 personalities fighting. It's literally one personality being formed with this integration already.
Yeah.
So it's different. It's odd at the best.
But I mean,
So
that's a good jumping off point for Throne Keeper. Basically, if you guys didn't see the end of Regicide, they
Basically, they
killed.
realize there's a fuck ton more coming, and we have to quickly clean up camp. We've got 5 minutes, and it takes 5 minutes to put on your armor by yourself. So someone helps someone else put their armor on, and
Someone
the other
cleans up.
person who already has decent AC may as well start cleaning up the camp with their bag of holding and everything, so they can get the fuck out of there before those other ones turn up.
Yeah. But speaking about the binding ritual is a great place to jump off to Throne Keeper, where we get to see it in action, um, with Lazlo and Oscar talking to Cadus.
yeah, it's the first time we get to see somebody going through the process, right? Because Vigil kicked us out. They asked us to leave them alone for a couple of days. So they're going through their own process, and we're watching Cadus be merged
Yep.
into this new person. It's not Cadus. It's a new person. It reminds me of an episode of Voyager, Nihilix, where there was two characters that went through a transporter accident and they merged into one person. And there was a huge dilemma. Do we reverse this? But in order to figure out how to do it, it takes time. And during that time period, this new person created their own individual personality, their own life. And so it was a big dilemma where it was like, do we kill this one person to get these two people back? Or do we accept that there was a mistake and those people are gone? This is just the outcome of that. So it's kind of in that scenario where it's like, we didn't know that this was going to happen to Cadus. I mean, this is a huge burden on Lazlo. I didn't really play it up a lot because we were just doing lore dump and we were trying to end early because we didn't have Doxy. Doxy wasn't there, and Scott is just killing himself, like always. But Lazlo, that's another screw up in Lazlo's mind. He killed these people. They are new people now. They are different people. He took the old and mixed them with the new, and those original people are gone.
Well, I have a little bit of pushback on that, only because it seems like Octavia was the only sentient spirit. It like when Mog was talking to Lazlo about the ritual, he was saying that a lot of times the spirits are a lot more broken. Like maybe what the other spirits in what is it, Vigil were like, where they weren't with I think the ones in Vigil might have had a little bit more intelligence than the ones that manga is used to dealing with, but it seems like uh Octavia is a little bit like it's bigger for Octavia because of how sapient and intelligent she was as a spirit. Like people came and talked to her. She knew what was going on the entire time. So that personality of isn't broken. Like those memories are still there, and having to fuse with Cadus allows her to have a little bit of that life back while trying to fight with Cadus at the same time and probably fusing with his own spirit. So it might be a little bit different for other people in Vigil, is what I'm thinking. But
I mean, I agree. I agree. There is a variable there that Octavia was not normal.
yeah,
Right. And her death definitely wasn't normal. Her death was a choice.
yeah.
Um, versus the other people were old age and war or whatever. So that is something that would change his output if he goes back and these people are someone. But there's also another thing that's there was more specters than people alive. So you have multiple specters bonded to one person. And so So it just depends. When we go back, it's gonna be another thing where it's like, oh, great, my actions using magic killed an entire island of people. Great, my actions of using the box killed an entire lake of life. Great, my actions of trying to help change these people forever without their choice.
So before
Lazo does not have a good view of himself.
I have a question though. With this, is this a little bit more solidifying in the teachings of the Arcane Congress, where you shouldn't mess with magic you don't understand? To Lazlo.
He was never against the laws. The laws are he's okay with.
Okay.
And that was one of the back in session 0, his major thing was they broke the laws on purpose to get to their ends. Was a big issue. And then he found out more about the Sill not being just these people, like these experiments that went awry. And that, we were just pretty much
having like buildings and
yeah. So he's not against the laws. It's important for him to protect. He just thinks the Arcane Congress is on the wrong path of how to do things. And like with his conversations with Oscar, realizing that there are a militia force and not what he thought they were originally, like kind of an emissary force where they're trying to educate and teach people and to protect stuff. They're a blunt because he's a peacekeeper, but his job was cataloging and studying magic items that would come to him. His first mission, he killed an island of people. Like it was not a good thing. So he that's why for like the whole beginning he was very torn on the whole Arcane Congress thing, on like if they really should be destroyed or not. But then when he talked to the people in Little Ascaria, he realized that his past is gone. He can't go back to that ever. And with the talks of Oscar, that they're maybe they're doing the right thing, but they're doing it the wrong way. And there's a problem. There's a corruption somewhere. And now in the Loper issue, he's thinking that maybe Lopers are involved.
Yeah.
And that's why they're not. He just doesn't know, and he's very insecure with his choices nowadays in life because of his past actions leading up to everything that has done. So he just doesn't know. His goal is to end the Arcane Congress, not end the gnomes, not end Eustace. Right. And the stronghold of the Arcane Congress on the world. That's his goal. Yeah. I don't know how he's going to do it, but
so I don't want you to reveal it.
He also knows that there's someone after him from season 4, the season 3. Just
yeah.
There's something that he and Drat now has in common, I suppose. But
yeah, I mean it's his fault, so he accepts that. But he's scared. He's not a fighter. He's not a person that is used to battle, so it's scary. It's scary. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was saying I don't want you to reveal it here, but I would be interested in knowing how Lazlo would decide to, if he does decide it, once he gets the information, distribute that virus that or whatever is afflicting Gwen to some of the members of the Arcane Congress, because we still don't even know if it's contagious or not, which we're obviously hoping it's not contagious. But I'm very
obviously not.
Might have chatted with Joey about that, but it's she can't spread it.
Yeah, it's obviously not in its current state, because then a multi would have an issue.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it doesn't have the potential. I will say this: I don't know what the future holds for that in Lazlo, and if even Lazlo gets involved in that, because we don't have that information.
Not yet.
I will say that he would be interested into learning and studying and working on it. Depending on what it does, to what extent it does to people, like losing magic but losing your life at the same time is something that's a little different. So, and how fast it works too is also a huge probability. So there's a lot of variables on if he would actually use it.
Yeah. And also,
but he would be interested in studying it. He's not against it.
Also, I feel like Lazlo understands that everyone in the Arcane Congress isn't like that, because you had your friend Halen, and even though he was like in your session 0 constantly spouting Arcane Congress rhetoric.
I forgot that name.
Yeah, no, we watched the episode. I had to rewatch the episode for
we did that time. We're just waiting on Joey to finish editing.
Hey, that is because I did bring him up and I forgot his name, because they did say a long time ago Josen's the only survivor.
I know that's freaking that's worrying.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so I'm wondering what's going on with Halen. because Halen, I think towards the end he was kind of like turning, and he was kind of like, this is something's wrong.
Well, no, because
Not to
remember
the same degree
he
you
was
were, but
convincing. Yeah, he was more convincing you. I'm sorry, not you, but he was more convincing Lazlo that things needed to progress this way because it was the Arcane Congress way that these things were
yeah, but him
creatures that
saying
were.
that though, he's thinking about it.
Yeah. Because I think he
Which
was.
is
He's also a researcher like Lazlo, right? He's not like Josen always kind of knew because he's the one that knew the order, right? Um, Josen always knew about the
Mhm.
sword of the Arcane Congress, versus Halen and Halen and Lazlo. They were in a lab, like that's what they did. That they didn't go to the field to kill, uh, you know, small gnomes. They were like, oh, look at this dagger. Let's study it. They're like, oh, it's divine. Here you go, Halen. Oh, it's not. Okay, it's mine. Kind of thing. Um, so yeah, I don't know. My fear is Halen's never going to come back up
Yeah,
because we're not going to go that deep into the RC timeline and storyline.
but I
So
feel like Lazlo understands that there are people in the Arcane, like setting off that kind of. And I'm not trying to sway because I I I'm a little bit
oh
chaotic,
my,
and I would like to see the aftermath of Laszlo doing so. So, but I would think that because of Laszlo's experience in the Arcane Congress, he would understand that it's the higher ups that need to be dealt with, not the you know the rank and
yeah,
file. But
like I said, it comes down to what it does. If it kills people, then that would be not okay. If it removes their magical ability but leaves them a choice to life, then he would be much more interested in casualties.
mm,
my one
Um,
concern with Halen is whether or not they can still turn people into Sil.
yeah,
Because that's
all right.
because that
So
would be a
here's a
good way
wild
to shut
theory.
him up. Because no one's going to listen to a Sil.
I mean, they don't listen to Lazo with just the eyes,
Yeah,
right? Um, so here's the thing and here's a wild theory that Laszlo. I'm building Laszlo to like kind of put together. Are the Sill the Arcane Congress version of Absurgo 13? Because they have a tie to dark, like their eyes, they have a tie to necromancy. That was explained. They have a tie. Their skin is grayer and dull. They're more monotones. They have less emotions, right? And they're freaks and abominations from for the Arcane Congress. Is it because they were like gnomes that were bound to souls, and then they were like they went awry, and then they kind of split off and started their own race of
yeah,
gnomes,
maybe.
or something completely different, because mole magic existed, and this is clearly something tied to mole magic. um
we know something along the lines of propaganda of they were once rebels and they were all condemned to experimentation. So
mhm.
all we
I
know
mean,
is that's a starting point.
for all we know, the Sill are the experiments on the gnomes versus on Perrin,
Mm.
on humans, and uh, that the mole did.
Yeah,
So
plenty of options.
yeah, so it's just a theory that I have growing that um, they might be the outcome of experimentation on the mole. That's just kind of what I'm kind of leaning into at this point. But we'll see. We don't have the information,
Mm.
so at the end of the
Yeah, so it's the next bit my favorite bit.
day, yeah. Um, Yeah, so we did a lot of talking with Cadis, and we found out that thanks to somebody that I summoned to try to get more information on this binding ritual shows up, and he tells me that like the outcome is um, that the two souls, if it's a good union, they kind of create this new person, which it seems like that's what happened with Cadis.
He also said one of the
Um,
options for a good union is one wins.
Yeah, which I think is what
This is some consider it a failure, but it's also a good union.
I think that's what he's doing, because he's clearly bound to people through his blood, maybe not with his soul, but to the blood, and I think he's dominated somebody.
It'll definitely be interesting if he has started doing that.
Because I mean, I was able to pull Octavia forward, right, and she chose to be bound, right. I feel like he's bounded, but he's not tied together like she is to Cadus. Right, he's more loosely bound and kind of can jump between anybody that has his blood. Is my assumption of what's going on.
Yeah, Yasugo's back, so even if it says a ghost, but yay, we still don't know which one. Leading theories are Revenant.
So I don't think that. I honestly think that Cadus is more close to a Revenant than Usurgo.
Yeah.
I can't get his name right.
Asugo.
Orsugo.
I totally had in my head like what would be an easy to chant sort of name, like from
yeah. No, I mean the name's fine. It's my brain. It's my brain that doesn't let it work. I think Orsugo is more of like a high level spirit or specter that's like possessing people, and that's why I was able to call him such a distance. Because if he's bonded, I don't think I can call them that distance. I think like Octavia, I was able to call, but she came to the surface of Cadus. She didn't come out of Cadus. So I'm thinking that he's not technically bonded, but he's kind of using the bonded ritual kind of thing because they have his blood to make that work. So we'll see. I mean, we won't see. Actually, it's not going to be us that deals with it.
If you have your way in the matter. He did say he'll look for you.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, good luck with that. He'll have to travel very far. Which would be an interesting way for Lazlo to die, like with freaking one's enemy. Screw him. I'd be so mad. Steve, I'll be very mad at you, bro. If your guy comes and kills my character.
It would be a satisfying end to me. So
I don't see, but like Steve and I were talking, and it's like the scariest part is he's going to a time temple. We have seen them manipulate matter when they get control over time. The Emperor, I don't think Kroll is that smart and that special, but the Emperor is a special individual in this world. And I think the Emperor is going to be if Esmond was able to do a slight fast forwarding, I think the Emperor is going to be able to do much more, especially since he's not just going to be a corpse reforming and unforming and reforming and unforming constantly. He's going to be like conscious and alive the whole time. I think Kroll is going to be this old beat up bodied person and is barely alive.
That's to him like he can actually age like being partially undead like he is. That's the...
Well, it was told to us that they still do age. Okay. They just age extremely slowly when they're bonded to something. Right? They just extend, they double their lifespan. And I would think the Emperor being even more powerful probably extends that even more. In some way, because he's such a powerful spirit. But I don't think Kroll is immortal as long as he's bonded, age-wise. I think he will age. And remember, like every second is like 10 days or whatever. It's like a stupid amount of time up there.
It's just a matter of whether or not he'll age or rot is my thing.
Yeah, I think he'll be in the same state as Esmond when they get up there. But because the Emperor is also there, he's going to have much more control because the Emperor isn't going through that. Right. The Emperor is just going to be like, well, this body sucks. That sucks for you. And he's gonna, I mean, let's be fair. When Orsugo shows up and he's like, I want to kill one, the Emperor's gonna be like, as long as you kill Rayron too, I can help you.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. I'm like, would they join forces? Would they join forces? Because that'd be so much fun if they did.
I mean, I don't think the Emperor can leave. I don't think he can. I think
he's stuck there while he's bound.
Because the minute Kroll dies, he's unbound.
And he's got a target on his back.
Yeah, you know who's looking for him. You know who knows where he is now. So as soon as his soul is unbound, he's gonna be like, "Whoop! Arbiter's just gonna be like, thank you. Now you're mine. So there's that. I do think he's gonna get a body back. I don't know. I mean, can you imagine? Because Arsugo was strong, but I don't think he was in his prime. I think he was just after his prime, because he built that force, right?
I mean, they did say they took away a bunch of his power to give it to other people, and that's because they're afraid they was going to go boom.
Yeah, can you imagine him in his prime?
Yeah,
there.
that's
If he
crazy.
reversed time and gave him a body back of him as the strongest possible, so that'll be interesting. That'll be very interesting to see how that works. I don't think Arsugo is intelligent enough to do anything with the temple otherwise, though. I don't think has that capability.
He's not intelligent from what I remember, but I haven't seen the thing in ages.
No, it's instinctual magic, right? It's not.
He's a blood rager. It's like sorcerer with barbarian combined. So
yeah. So I mean, and he's a scary
his whole thing was being scary.
Changed the way Lazlo is now going to deal with the spirits from this point on, because Lazlo was not in control like he was before with this. I mean, he proved it when I dismissed him. He was like fighting to stay on until the magic kicked in. He was, granted, he's a unique scenario, but I have to be careful, especially dealing with calling forth anyone from the Barrenlands, because those people know that kind of stuff. So I think Lazlo's going to be a little bit more hesitant because he got easier. He got easier calling forth towards the end, where he was like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And I think that was a big warning flag for Lazlo that happened. Plus, he just wasn't a nice guy. He was mean.
I mean, I keep saying he was never meant to be nice. He was meant to be scary.
So he's definitely an intelligent undead. He's definitely, without a doubt, he's an intelligent undead. Incorporeal intelligent undead. To what effects he has on the people, he could have been lying and bolstering his actual thing. Because me calling him forth empowers him to manifest. That doesn't mean he can manifest normally. Because even when I did it to Octavia, she changed and was able to manifest truly, instead of being this torn apart, wretched, broken spirit. She was able to come forth true. So my power empowers them to manifest. We don't know if Arsugo has the ability to actually manifest, or if he's just can influence the people that he's connected to.
I mean,
so it would
my
be
personal dream.
It depends.
My personal dream for it is he's able to possess people and set them on fire that way. That'd just be fun. Like it's probably not going to happen, but that'd be fun. That'd be just a fun ability for him.
That would be really mean. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if he does get his body back, Hogwen has the
orcs,
the army,
yeah,
the orc army.
Yeah,
right? They would follow him. They're from. They would follow him. I mean,
there's two of them that are going to get the asses kicked for going to one, but because you said that there are two that are working for one, there's two of them probably not going to have a fun time. That's probably how he's going to get them all scared of him again.
Well, didn't they? Wasn't that like an amazing check one did?
That was me dropping Fortune's favor for him to have a.
Yeah, in the bar, I remember it being like a bar scene where he was like, "Whoa, well, I know where a couple of people are," or something like that.
I know there was a Fortune's favor where a couple of people with his ability, with Orsugo's abilities, joined up with him. Like roundabout, I want to say, because they're dealing with Vigil and they're dealing with the Mushroom Man. They're dealing with Mice and the Tender. Around by that time, and there was two that he had captured after defeating Orsugo that joined up with him that didn't have the power. Is my understanding.
So it's going to be very interesting, because if he shows up and he does a rally call at Hogwen, there's going to be a war at Hogwen. There's going to be a battle at Hogwen immediately. Yeah. And I don't think that town's going to be able to survive another battle this soon. No. Let's be honest. The Slumbering Queen, while she is a calming force, she's not a military force. So she's been very passive the whole time. And Arsugo isn't the kind of diplomat that you can talk him into being like, look, we'll help you if you leave us alone.
Yeah, no, they tried that. And some more buildings in Viren got burnt down for it.
Yeah. So I could see in the future of Kingmaker, even Kingmaker coming back, right? When stepping back into the mortal coil, into the more material plane, if they hear about the Great Fire of Hogwen or something like that, like where rumors start talking about like things going on. The only thing that Hogwen has going for them is there's a very powerful witch there, Xander. Xander's very powerful. I don't think he could stop Oshibo though,
No,
and
I,
he could slow him down. That's pretty much it.
I mean, I think he'd be smart enough to go, oh, there's all this rage and killing intent coming off the guy. I'm going to go the opposite direction. I'd hope that he's smart enough for that.
I don't know because he's full on in the cult now, man.
That's true. Yeah.
But he is the smartest person in Aurorum right now, though, except for probably a because he got that that headband of intellect.
Yeah.
So he's the smartest person that way, and he's a huge boon to any type of military force because he can unlimitedly spam once a day heals on soldiers.
Yeah.
And you're talking about it's moderate core wounds at his current level. When we last left him off, if he's leveled up even more, it's going to become greater or whatever is the next level.
Yeah.
I think it's major. Then greater.
Major. So it levels up again. So it'll be interesting. I don't think Xander would leave her. If she stays, I think Xander is probably gonna die. In that sense. Because I don't know what it's gonna do to Dorat and Erwin and all of his friends that are in council positions and are important figures in other towns now.
Drat's still not. But that's what he's most connected to, so Drat's probably going to go freaking nuts on the guy.
I mean, can you imagine? Drat probably knows, like where he was in Yavance. He was on the border of. He was in Yavancia. He probably knows of what's her name now. The shadow.
Yeah, your little half-orc person. Yeah.
Which, by the way, I was against the name. It's a cool name, but because of the
I know, but it's just like everything else we came up with just did not fit. Did not fit anywhere near as well.
Good. And the Shadowbroker was like,
I like Shadowbroker for it.
So he probably knows of her, and
he's also done some stuff with the jewels as well, and he's got knowledgeability from that sort of thing.
I mean, she would work with the jewels. She only cares about money, right? If the jewels come and it's like, hey, gather information or we want to buy stuff, she would work with them. She's not. She's a chaotic force in the world. So she's my only like real chaotic character that I built, where she would work with anybody for money. Like that's her goal, is money. She's no allegiances except for her friend Buck and is it Buck?
Yeah, it's Buck and whatever. Dominic. Those are the two that are still with you.
Right. Yeah. So
because Janik and the other guy took off, like sidestep landed.
Yeah, and so Lazlo, yep. Look at your notes. Yeah, Lazlo snitched on one. I snitched pretty hardcore.
Well, not really, because he didn't know exactly where he went or where he left from. So
he was in the plains. Yeah, he left to the plains. We were told that all the Chosen were off this plane. And I told him the wrong place that one left from. One didn't leave. That was Rayron.
Well, I was
there's two people that also go definitely fucked up. Rayron and Val with him. So he's probably gonna have a chance doing it again to Rayron.
I would.
So, what do you think? Like,
no. I was gonna say I was a little bit confused at the time. To which temple you were actually talking about, because he did disappear in the temple in Hogwen.
No, temple in Kurzfall that was to Vroga.
No, was that the Vroga temple? I thought. Is it a shrine?
I'll have a look at the thing.
Because
I thought it was Hogwen. I mean, I thought it was Kurzfall.
Yeah, they disappeared from Kurzfall.
His temple.
Okay.
Temple,
you know what? Now I remember them actually coming to Kurzfall, coming through the portal, and they went straight to the. Okay, you're right. Because
whose temple?
It was
Temple to the Martyrs, so it would have been shrine to Vroga.
It was the shrine there,
yeah. Lazlo doesn't know that though. Lazlo only knew that the chosen left the coil and they left it, like 2 of them left it at the time temple. So he just made an assumption that the other one did too.
No, that's a good assumption. I thought at the time, because I completely, we just rediscovered that I thought there was a Temple of Roga in Hod Gwen for some reason, or a shrine to Roga.
Because we know that Jake was planning to build a cathedral to Verga in Hod Gwen.
But yeah, so I was a little bit confused.
So instead of being able to use it for a castle, we wanted it for the cathedral. But Raven had other plans. I mean, it's going to be one of the best defended embassies ever.
So what do you think is worse? What Lazlo did to 1 with Arsugo, or what we're gonna do to Rare because of all the information that came out?
Well, like I said in one of the other Discord chats, I think there's like 5 groups that know about it now. So there's 5 different holes to fucking. Like, what you're going to do is going to cut them off from a Malta. What everyone else is going to do is cut them off from the rest of a deer.
Yeah, that's like, because I said it in game, and I looked at Oscar and I said we should probably rescind his citizenship because we can't have a Malta tied to that kind of stuff. Like that's
there's something that I think Congress can go, oh look, this is one of your guys, and they're dealing with devils.
Yeah,
maybe everyone else shouldn't like a Malta.
Think about it though. Our magic's different than everybody else's. We have a magical ice wall that is now impervious for some reason, while it's been melting for the last 10 years.
Where'd they get with that?
How did that happen? And it's like, oh, Rayron, everyone knows Rayron the devil lover, or whatever they're gonna call him.
They're just gonna assume that the Arbiter is actually a greater devil now.
Yeah,
so he's the chosen.
That's another thing that really messed up.
I know, because now you're kicked into it too.
Oh, great. There was a lot of like lore crap that came out of that last session, even though it was shorter. There was so much like it's not even new lore. It's just us finding out the lore and like us finding out about Rayron, like putting the 2 and 2 together with Rayron. Great thing. Catavia, whatever you want to call it, this new person. Is now willing to accept that the Vigilites need to leave, which helps our case because of all the crap Rayron's doing. So thanks Neil on that front.
Well, it's more because of his decision, right? Because she feels persecuted because they have such a hatred for Aravel, even though 1 is starting to lighten up. That law is still in place, and it's like we haven't aligned with people who hate us because of our religion. So I think,
well, it's they're in the same situation right now that Malta is in, where you're dealing with an ally that you hate, that you don't want to be tied to. And instead of a Malta who is 2 nations, the Vigilites are like, let's just get up and leave. So it's a much easier transition for them to just decide. Look at all the work we have to do just to start leaving. Leaving our relationship with Yvonne's.
I wonder if, and later on, as you guys continue to travel with Cadis, if Octavia's, because later on Octavia kind of a little bit, she didn't get the chance to longer, but she began to warm up to them as they began to warm up to her a little bit. It was like, oh, you guys aren't the absolute monsters I thought you were. You're still monsters, but you're not as bad as I thought you were in the beginning.
And now I was like, oh no, they were worse.
Yeah, Cadis is like that though. So I'm wondering if,
because you gotta remember though, like it was described, because we didn't actually talk about this, from Usurgo described that if it's a perfect ritual, if it's a good ritual, a good outcome ritual, that both of these, the union would make a new form, a new person, and that seems what's happened in Cadus and Octavia.
Because they're not fighting, that's for sure.
And I think this new personality that's coming forth is going to have the because there is the strong lawful aspect of Cadus, with the religious aspect of Octavia. And I think those two things are going to be like very prominent features in this new personality. Is the law and good is going to be something that is going to we might have made the perfect paladin. We don't know.
You might have made Spite Evil incarnate. Smite Evil.
Yeah. So, and then on top of that, we know that the sword imbues certain personality traits.
Yeah.
Because when Erwin took it, he had rage to attack one after the murder of that child. And he wanted to fight one and die fighting one because he knew he couldn't take one. And then when he grabbed the sword and became the sword holder, he was calmer and he was like, I know it wasn't your fault, but I don't like, or he said something like, I know it wasn't your fault, but I don't like you.
Doesn't mean I have to like you. Yeah.
So I'm wondering if we add the freaking sword in it now, what is this new person gonna be like?
I had a little background information as to how powerful that sword is. That's the sort of things like something like +7 and it doubles at some point for some conditions. So yeah.
I mean, we got like a holy avenger going on here. Like if the sword chooses, the sword might not choose Cadus. I don't see why it wouldn't, but because it chose Octavia.
Yeah. I think it's gonna end up choosing Cadus as well. That's it. That'll be interesting.
It's gonna start choosing Octus.
Oh yeah, you're
Octus.
right.
I like it. I like Octus. Sounds very Metal Gear Solid, right? Octus. Octus has now. What do I do? Yeah, so Oscar's gonna get reports. He's gonna file all the information we find out to the council, and that's gonna become public knowledge of Rayron's involvement in all this stuff, which is gonna be very interesting how the world reacts to that. Because we know there's Paradel spies, we know there's Arcane Congress spies inside of Malta. That's just a given. The smart move would be for the Preclarium to start disseminating misinformation and send that stuff out to direct maybe Paradel onto them instead of us to weaken their front lines. So there's a lot of things. We don't know anything about Goldaria, but that definitely seems like a place that there's going to be Knights Templar.
Yeah.
With the way that they're described. So
there might be a couple of dozen specially made arrows with Rayron's name on it after that day.
Silver arrows, yeah. Holy shit.
So it's very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm going to be honest with you. There's been a lot of times in Throne Keeper that has lulled of interest for me, but the crossover has really reinvigorated interest into the campaign for me because
I can definitely see that.
So many things are coming forward. So many things are being more interesting and dynamic, and it's not just the same politic talks all the time. There's a lot of things now that new magics is being discovered, and Oscar. I mean, I feel for Oscar because Oscar is the fighting character, and there hasn't been a lot of fights in it. So I'm hoping that there becomes a new world opens up of maybe helping with leadership and training in this new army in this new battlefront, because there's going to be a whole bunch of war that's going to happen in Malta soon. And so that's really going to be where he shines. I'm shining right now because of the whole undead spirits and all that stuff and my eyeballs and the tie to the Arbiter, which, by the way, am I the freaking magic hand of the Arbiter? Like, what's going on with that? He has a bunch of freaking chosen, it seems, around. You know, I mean, we're guessing on Ophios. Our characters don't know.
Remember, he gave Ophios a gift. I don't.
Yeah, no, but we don't know that. We don't know who gave him, who got the chest. So they had.
Oh, I thought we were talking meta. But yes, you're right.
Meta-wise, yeah,
you're guessing it's Ophios.
But like, we're guessing it's Ophios because of the ties to death that everyone has. We don't know
Yeah,
that much
Byron's
about
ties to death got
Reyna's.
brought up quite a lot. Uh,
Yeah,
There's
Raymond's.
very
So like
ruthless war tactics.
in my mind, the Arbiter's creating like a religion almost, or like like he's making champions in his name on this planet, and we don't know exactly where this God War is going and what it's fully about, but we do believe, I think it's a common acceptance that he's trying to change the soul dispersion, right? How the souls are dispersed. And it would be very smart if you're trying to lead that charge and you change it to religion to have a lot of people that are champions for you or avatars for you on the earth walking around in your name, right? So he might be stacking the deck in his favor if he wins the war.
Also,
because if he does, he's probably dead.
also there is something else that they are fighting for that we don't know, because what was it, two Orsk told Grishka that he was saying there's something else that we can't discuss right now, that would have no meaning for you, but go and help them out, which was Roga's thing. But so I'm interested in what that point is. That's my thing. I want to know what because
I don't think we'll know. I think that's something that Scott's creating as a background depth mechanic, and it's something that we're not gonna see. We're never gonna, because he's not interested in high level play. He's said it numerous times. He's not a fan of getting too high level, right? And too high magic. And when you start getting into like God Wars, you need a lot of magic. You need a lot of freaking levels to start dealing with.
You also need a small fortune, but that's a Planewalker.
I think we're gonna get bits and pieces. We're gonna find out. We're gonna get like status reports of how things are going on, and then we're gonna get a resolve. And I don't think we're gonna get campaigns that are actually integrated into that. I think these campaigns are all focusing around getting rid of the ironclad grip that Paradel has on this continent, and then secondary the the Arcane Congress's grip. But I think Paradel is the big bad monster nation of all these campaigns.
Yeah, Paradox big bad monster, and Arcane Congress is the insidious like monster in the background sort of thing.
Yeah. Because it ties together. All our campaigns are tied together to Paradel in some way, right? The Lopers being in charge of the Paradel, the Amota directly in war with Paradel, and
Idea is completely surrounded by it. They're going to be affected either way.
An island in the sea of Paradel.
They've already lost Estrad.
I think we'll get
not necessarily Estrad, but section near Estrad.
I think we'll get a few answers, only because even going back to before they actually got warped away to these inner planes, even the Deva was saying, if you want answers, the Arbiter said, come and talk to him and his plane, and he'll give you the answers. And from the discussion from last week, it seems like Delric does want them to go meet the Arbiter and have a quick little conversation. I don't think we'll learn everything, but I think the Arbiter is willing to tell them why he is causing this disruption.
So. Yeah. I mean, I think it's clear. I think him and his sister are the yin and the yang, or yin and the yang forces of things, right? And they're about balance, and they're about she's about equality, and he's about equal fair judgment, right? Those are the things that we have kind of assigned to them. We don't know if they're actually true, but those are the things we've assigned to them. I think it's fair to say that that's what they're trying to make the other gods bend to, because the way the soul disruption, if you look at Green's and I conversation in Kingmaker lately, me and Green are butt heads on a lot of things, but we both agree on that like the way the souls are distributed is like it's like a wrestling mania match, right? It's whoever can grab stuff as fast as they can, whoever's stronger and can force their way to grab things, and that the human life experience means nothing to the gods. All that matters is the soul generating force that comes from the material plane. And it comes through in a lot of ways where the gods aren't like the old gods. None of them really interact with the worlds, except for you start talking about Lady Aravel and
Praline.
Vrogar, the only ones that were interacting until recently with Snaga and
Praline,
now Kraling coming and integrating. Well, I mean, Kraling's followers. We don't know if Kraling is involved. It's just something that Ilan is projecting. There's a lot of people that kill in the name of Lady Aravel that we don't claim is Lady Aravel killing.
Just one more thing to
So
connect with Marta and this, I think, like how things picking up champions. Do you think anything would have happened from that pool that we both dunked into? Marta-wise?
I died.
Yeah, and came back, and I almost went pop. Do you think that's going to do anything?
For all we know, they were Durat and Xander were chosen by the Martyr because it was the positive plane, and we just don't know it because she's not the type to talk. She's not the type to interact. And then Caro plays shadow. He's shady, right? He plays the shadow games. So he likes to talk and give bits and pieces as much as he can without giving away too much, more than he's allowed. Because as a god, he has different rules now that he can say and what he can't say. So I don't know. It might be. It might not. I don't know. We don't know. We just
it's just a thought that I just had when you were talking about Nankara picking up champions. I'm just like, that doesn't mean us, does it?
Could be they could be because they are touched by the Martyr directly. Like you were getting stabbed to stop dying.
I was trying not to go pop. I just played it so that I couldn't do anything because he said it was like a massive fucking cocaine high, and that's so I'm just like, we were just standing there freaking screaming.
And they were just like, I think Erwin was the one that was with us, and we're just like stabbing you and cutting you just to make you heal, to like burn off the energy. So, I mean, you were touched by the positive plane in that sense. They don't have any indication of that. I don't know about the rat, but I know Xander hasn't had any indication of that yet.
I was having Dirk go more down the airplane, but that's something that could be in the back of his head too.
Yeah. I mean, because wherever there's light, there's shadow, right? So you're a little sneaky boy. So I don't know. I think that's what they're doing. They're trying to create a fairness because they were mortal, and we don't know how the other gods were, right? We know Snaga. We think Snaga was mortal, right? They talked about that a little bit. But it was a beast, and then they tortured it and all that stuff, and it became a god or whatever.
Salamander at one point,
but
it became a god after people worshipped it. After feeling bad that they ended up killing it. So
yeah. So we know that the Martyr and Nankaro were people that walked the earth, and they were enslaved. We know.
We also know that there were potentially 3 gods that were involved in the fall of the mole from when Kroll was talking. I think it was. Because we know that the freaking Marta and Nankara were both included in that. I mean, there's a suspicion that there was a 3rd one, so that could be potentially.
Yeah. So Lazlo is very, very unsure of this new ability now because of his belief of what Nankaro is. He doesn't want to be tied to death, but he kind of is death. If you think he has killed the most things in all of Aurorum, and even though it's not maliciously, he has killed so many things and caused so much death, and he continues to just do things that cause death in some way, even if it's not physical death, like with the Vigilites, personality death. The individual is gone, and now it's something different. His actions continuously do this.
It's a lot of groups of people at a time, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so, I mean, I love it. I want him to become like the avatar of death in this world. That'd be amazing. Like a gnome. People are like, death has finally come, and a gnome steps out of the shadows with blackened eyes.
Dude, that would be cool.
It'd be a nice twist. Normally, death is a tall, looming figure, and now it's just this little thing that's just like looking at you with these pitch black eyes that seem to suck your soul in.
Lazlo's like emotional and logical, right? So he's not one of those people that would wish death on people, but if he has to distribute it, he would. And would cry doing it.
I mean, the whole episode where Drat came to have a visit with you guys, that kind of happened. Just only to one person.
So it would be very, very interesting. I would love to see that be his finale, like his exit in this world is to become some form of like maybe if he's just a champion of Nikaro to gather the souls and distribute them, or bring them to their final resting place or something like that. That's something that I think I would love to see Lazlo do, and it would be pure torture for Lazlo forever. And it's something that I would just love. It's like poetic justice, like you can't ever make up for your final sins, but at least maybe you can get these people to their final resting place. But in order to do that, they have to die. So it's like, I'm doing good, but they're dying. Like, it's something I would love to see. And I think Oscar's going to screw over Rayron 100%.
Oh yeah, Oscar already admitted he doesn't like Rayron.
Yeah, I think the reports are going to seriously screw over Kingmaker, and I don't think we know to what extent yet. Yeah. Other than that, we're just waiting to go to Vigilites and see what happens, and then after that, we plan on hitting the keep, because if we can learn more secrets about these Lopers and reveal them to Amolta, then that's a good thing. And Lazlo's super interested in their magic.
Just at least now Lazlo has a warning not to go to the time one.
Yeah. We do want to warn Jaeger. I have no idea how we're going to tell Chris Allen half the shit that we found.
That's a very good question.
Because she's the one that's going to be talking to everybody. But I think that's pretty much it for Kingmaker. Throne Keeper?
Yeah, one thing I love though was when Oscar, during this episode, was when Oscar was trying to get Coctavia. What do we call
Octus?
Octave. Let's just
Octavia. Octavia. I'm sorry. I don't think you should cut that one out. But we haven't made a Rena make it canon joke, so
that's like Scott calling Joey.
I know.
Well, when let's use Octus. No, let's say again. When he was trying to get Octus to train and pick up, to be able to merge the two styles of Octavia and Cadus, and he was saying that, oh, you guys both know this thing, but you may have to unlearn one style to relearn something else. And Lazlo just gave him the smile and was like, yeah, you gotta unlearn one thing to learn something else, Oscar, right? And Oscar was like, I fucking hate you. I fucking hate you so much.
But it's funny because, like, you just said exactly what Foss said, but with magic.
Yep.
Like, that's the difference. Oh, that was cool.
I think it really hit him.
I really wanted to also bring that back up because I feel like that would be a very powerful ability for him to unlock. Him being that type of fighter, especially if there's someone that's, I don't know, a Syl that's going to come and kill Lazlo. I would love for him to not, die from a Syl. I mean, he deserves it. Don't get me wrong, but I don't want him to die.
Yeah. Especially considering is what that Syl can do.
Yeah, I see Casper fight. It's horrifying. And then the Arbiter doesn't talk to me. That's another thing. Yeah, but it kind of got swept. I think it was one of those things where maybe it just wasn't the right time. And Scott was like, we're just going to move on and not make it a thing. Because because I thought maybe at that location with the ties to Arbiter, it might be easier to speak to the Arbiter.
I mean, the
but
planes
that might
seem to be
not
pretty
the
weak
case.
around there.
Yeah. But it was also the ethereal plane, and I don't think that's where the Arbiter is.
Probably not. I think
I
it's a
thought he
negative
was
energy one.
Oh, just period negative energy.
Because that's where
I don't think.
Ellen went to go look.
Yeah. So that's connected to the ethereal, not pure negative energy, right? So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it's something like when we go to move it, we'll be out of the material plane and he'll speak to us, because there seems to be an issue with talking to people through the barrier of the material plane. I think the other gods can interact. So it might be something that he's waiting, because we're gonna use we have the flag, we have everything we need to go to the Western Keep. I have no idea what they're gonna do when we just show up. Like, that's gonna be an interesting situation.
Yeah. At least Chrysalin would be just
Metroid.
showing up there.
Yeah, Elizabeth Chrysalin, that'd be nice. Knowing her, though, she'll always be like, "Move out of the way, Luthira is coming through," and I'm like, "Oh no, no!" It'd be nice to get Doxy back. It was. She's our speaker, and we did a lot of talking. Granted, we did with military people, but we did a lot of talking. So. And we know Ophios got at least one hug in his life.
Yeah, at least one.
Oh man!
It's just when someone says they have his back for once, they actually meant it.
Let's jump into.
We're only on page 7 of your notes, man. We're only on page 7 of your notes.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was gonna say. Let's just jump into Planeswalker. Well, the thing about my notes is that with Planeswalker, when I took it this morning, I just started typing everything just in case it was important, and then so a lot of this isn't important. Don't worry about it. I was like, I don't know what's important anymore. Let's just type everything.
That's true. That's fair. Well, a lot of it is Scott describing the planes. So for anybody that has any knowledge of the planes, he's being very traditional with the plane description. The city of Brass is a hugely famous place. I think that's where
he went,
right?
City of Brass.
And he was
ruled by their free.
Is a huge famous place in lore. And he was very traditional-esque with his viewpoint of it, with the trading of souls being the most prominent thing, and slavery being very rampant and not something that's frowned upon, but also it is still slavery, right? It's not the same type of slavery that we think of with like Yovance. It's kind of like indentured servitude.
I just want to say I'm fairly new to D&D, so like my first D&D experience is actually Lost Initiative. So when so when he was describing the planes, like a lot of these notes are like, oh, I don't know if this is important or this. It seems like a lot of it was just to hint towards the audience that yes, this is the city of Brass. So, and I didn't know what the city of Brass was until I gave it a quick look.
I've heard of the city of Brass, but I'm still relatively new as well. But it's like,
it's a very famous place in the Plane of Fire. It's a very famous place. Scott has a different take on a lot of things than 5e. So, like, if you look at 5e's knowledge of the planes, he doesn't follow that. He follows more like 3rd edition planes, where there's 16 divisions. And at the intersections, there's like subdivisions where it's like sludge and slime and ash and stuff like that. So his take is going to be slightly different. It's going to be more of an older, archaic, old boomer. That's for you, Scott. Version of D&D, but it does make the planes much more interesting and much more able to be traveled. In 5e D&D, the planes are much more powerful in their sense that normal people going there, it tends to be death. It tends to be something that's like not easily something that people can, unless they have a very specific point in the plane, something that they can easily navigate. So I like his take on it better than 5e's, to be honest. But 5e makes the planes much more
dangerous.
A death sentence.
Heavenly, like, yeah, celestial, like
Mm.
they're very powerful entities that just walk there, right? Like, he did kind of show that in the City of Brass, where Rosin showed up, and that's a very powerful entity.
Yeah.
Just just to be a normal person in that world, right? He didn't show like the outer planes, like the divas flying around. Like, he talked about them, but like, if you ever looked at the traditional D&D aspect, if you went into Palor, Palor's plane, right? There would be lines and lines of planetars and divas. Not solars and divas, because they guard and they're the army for that. And then there would be it's kind of like Elysium, right, where there's like souls would be enjoying their final rest there. But there would be these gatekeepers that are things that normal people just can't win, even if you're level like 20. Like, they're very difficult entities to fight.
Okay.
So he's making it much more accessible to a certain extent. I believe I'm sure if you get to certain aspects, certain places, it won't be. But he also made it prudent that he made a point that unless it's allowed, there is kind of like this antibody system that would shoot you out of the plane or kill you or destroy, like to protect the plane. And none of them had to deal with that yet, which I'm getting the idea.
I think Raven's about to.
Yeah. Well,
no, Raven's about to get his final judgment. He's about to talk to the slime god. I think that's
he
where
was,
that's
he
going.
was getting all sorts of like all of his spells are going wonky and that sort of thing, like other slimes popping up.
Well, okay. Traditional D&D, for people that don't know, is if you go into a plane, the owner of the plane has complete control over any magic that comes in and out of it. They can allow it or they can't. They can deny it, right? If you ever play Curse of Strahd, Bavaria is a plane.
okay.
Strahd has control over things coming in and out of it to some extent. He's not a deity, right? But he has control. So if you go there as a cleric of light or whatever, your light spells might be dimmer. They might have more of a Cthulhu-esque vibe to them, right? Or a darker Tim Burton type style, depending on how your person wants to, use vampires. So for the fact that they're even able to use magic is because they're not being seen as a threat. They would be shut down if they would get shut down hardcore if they showed up. It's like Ilan in the negative plane, just constantly being hurt and dying. If he was a target, he'd be dead.
Yeah,
like instantaneously.
Yeah.
So they're just like being not looked at because they're not a threat to the plane. That and he was so close to be able to talk to Netcaro. He was so like I get it though, man. That he had a hard time in the negative plane. That was hard. He was constantly fighting for his life in that place. Yeah, the City of Brass is bad. It's awesome. It's like Vegas but devils. It's like gambling and like drugs and like alcohol, and I think of like Mount Olympus but for devils. But I don't know. He got lucky, man. That was shady what Scott did with the contract. Just reading this makes you obliged to blah 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 blah. That was some shade. That was shady on Scott's part. I would have been like, oh
yeah. And he got kicked out permanently afterwards.
Yep. That's what I was gonna say. He still got punished even not taking the contract for not taking the contract actually. Because
I mean, he has it if he ever wants it, but he can't go back there.
True.
That's going to be interesting because the ward's being put in so that he can't go back in there. That slave is saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
He can't go into that place,
yeah,
right?
That place has the arena there.
The arena.
That's fine. It would have been stupid for him to fight. It would have been so stupid for him to fight. His main ability is immune to devils are just immune to it. So it's like, that's go ahead, use fire, man. You just go ahead. I mean, it was explained that Afridi was in charge
of the plane.
I mean, they are fire. Like they are like. I mean, play Final Fantasy. You'll know that. You know what he is. Like, but he got out of it, man. I'm shocked. I'm shocked he got out of it. But
yeah, and he decided to head over to back to the Burning Legion to see to get basically some information for where he could lay his head. Because
that's where it
ended.
Yeah,
I think. And then we went over to Slime Boy.
Trying to make a magical bomb. That really went down well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what plan was with that.
I'll tell you which page it was on.
I think he was trying to tear through the planes.
He was trying to tear through the planes and hoping, because the way is conjured, that the souls he put in would go to the devils, hoping they would cut him across to the devils. Probably isn't going to be much better for him having done that, but
yeah, I mean, I know he's considering the devils to be an ally, right? Somewhat. But the problem is his ally would just be that one bone devil who's no longer
a barb devil, yeah.
That's the ally. There's a lot more.
They're a lot higher on the food chain.
So like
that's
and whoever's in charge of the plane that the devils are in is probably not going to be very happy that
Asmodeus. I wonder if it's Asmodeus. I wonder if Sky has that in place. But I don't know. Because it looks like the way he described it looked like the I think it's the Seven Planes or whatever I think it's called. The Seven Planes of Hell, or I don't know the official. I forgot. Is
it 7? I thought it was 9. Is it 9?
9.
The 9 rings. 9 rings or 9 layers or something like that. I remember hearing that.
It's the 9 hells. You're right.
9 hells. Okay.
Yeah. So I want it's normally Asmodeus. And I wonder if Asmodeus exists in Scott's world, because Asmodeus is usually seen as the force of negative plane, but that's more of a 5e thing and less of an older. And I don't know older ones that well. Green would be the perfect one to ask about this, because Green has he knows devils.
Oh, we know. We know.
His enemy is his favorite enemy. So yeah, I'm curious, because can you imagine like a rift breaking up?
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, I don't imagine sure the devils get a lot of souls from the ooze plane, that's the thing with the hole that's open up there, but I don't think they're going to be very happy that there's another hole into their plane from them doing that.
Which is probably why he stopped him. I mean, a lot of this episode was, this part of the episode was just him trying to figure out what to even do with the bag and where to go. Like you guys were saying before, I was under the influence that going to the devils is absolutely a bad idea. It doesn't matter how much of an ally you think he is. He's gonna tell you the truth while trying to screw you over.
Yeah, so they are the pure example of letter of the law, not spirit of the law.
Yeah, I think barb devils are like purest bottom of the middle tier, I think, anyway. So
yeah, I don't. I mean, there's so many different. I mean, you don't like. They're just devils. You haven't even gotten to the realm of archdevils. And then you're talking about like more divine, not divine, but more heavy duty, like Asmodeus, right? Because he's almost. I think the last canon is Asmodeus consumed a god, and took became an actual god. I think that's the last canon thing that came out. But I mean, I don't know, based off of Scott's world, it could be different. But like, yeah, seriously, like, you don't trust devils. Like, you trust them as far as what they say. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You don't imply anything else based off of what they said. If they did not say it, they did not mean that. That's just how you have to deal with them.
One quick topic, because I don't want to hold you for too much longer, that I wanted to get in is you guys were actually saying to use the boon, and I would agree with that. I just was trying to think why Rewan absolutely refuses to use the boon, and I think it's kind of like you were explaining a little bit to Green, is that yes, he should use the boon because the deal's already done. He has the boons. He should use them. But I think he's not using them because of his guilt. Because he does feel a little bit of guilt about it, whether it's for doing it or finding for the souls, whatever. There's some kind of guilt there. And I think he only use the boons for the people of the nation rather than himself. And that's what I'm thinking.
I get that. That's noble. That's noble.
That's what I'm thinking. Also, he does need another chosen to agree on it, and Rayrin is prideful, and even if he's suffering, he tries not to show that.
The thing about needing another chosen is that that's only between the chosen. That's not between him and the devil. That's not between the chosen, the specific chosen, and the devil, because those boons are for all the chosen.
Yeah, but if he words it right, when he's talking to a devil, maybe he's like, I'm willing to use this boon to do this thing, but in order for me to use this boon, I need to speak with one, or I need to speak with Ilan. Then he might actually get a lifeline out of being able to speak with them. Even if he doesn't use the boon, that's something that would have to be done before he agrees to use the boon, right? He could be able to speak with them and use the devil in that manner. He could do that. I don't recommend it because using a devil tends to put them on your bad side. You don't want to be on the bad side of a devil, but I mean, I'll say this. I've said it in Discord many times. What Rayrin did is evil, without a doubt. I don't think we can even judge that. But the fact is, it was done. Not using the boons now means that choice was a waste. And I personally think that those lives should not have been wasted. Now that doesn't mean that he won't get screwed over again, and it doesn't mean that he should use it for anything. I want a lighter, but I think that he should use them when it is the right time. Right now, if he dies, those boons disappear.
No, they don't.
Well, no.
They're bound to all the chosen until they're used.
I thought
me and Scott went over that.
yeah, but I thought it wasn't in the contract that two chosen need to be.
It's not. No. That's something that the chosen agreed on amongst themselves. That was never in the contract. Me and Scott specifically went over looking through the videos as to what exactly happened, and that's not in there.
No, that's fine. But remember, devils only follow the letter of what they say, right? He said it will go on to one of the chosen. They could only mean one of the active chosen. Well, one is the only chosen left to go to.
I thought it was for the chosen period, because even if they die,
it's his.
But that's us calling them chosen. What defines what chosen is, and that's where you start getting with devils. Devils start doing word games and they start manipulating things. It's like we're dealing with the Fae, right? They're very trickstery. And what their defines are, what they define things are. So my worry would be is they would wiggle out of the contract if one dies. If one dies, granted, I think it's a safe contract as long as one's alive. I think it will transfer to him. I don't think that could be argued, but I don't think Ilan might be considered part of that boon.
As long as me and my companions live and you have no doings without death.
Companions.
It wasn't chosen, it was companions. Those are the specific words. I've just got to look back at what I quoted back to Scott.
Was there any companions with him when he made the bone?
We don't know.
He didn't say friends. He said companions, which are people that are with you at that time. Who is the other person that was with him at that time?
He did that by himself.
Nankara.
Other than Nankara.
No, Nick
Yeah.
was there. They only care about the word, not the spirit of the word. They only care about the
that's how long the
exact
boons are going to
wording.
last for until they're used.
Until
And that means the
Ninkara
devils
is
can't move against Ninkaro because they can't have anything to do with this
Yeah.
thing.
Hey man, we might have
Yeah.
found the
So
ultimate
it's
loophole.
it's a hell of a twist. That would be a hell of a twist. Because then that would mean Ninkaro could ask the forces of the nine, the what is it? What did
The
we say
Nine
it was?
Hells.
The
Nine
nine
Hells.
to aid him. Because that's a plan.
Yeah.
To aid him.
That's only that one
in-
devil, though, unfortunately. So
Yeah, but if
he could have the devil do as a messenger thing. If the devil thought had a chance of surviving, because it still requires the devil's consent as well.
That's true. It does require the devil's consent. But yeah, I don't think it would go to one. I honestly don't. I think it would go to Ninkaro because Ninkaro was the only ally, or the horse that was with Raven. Like just because they're a jerk. Like devils are jerks. And they would do something like that. Another companion of his that was given to him at that moment was
Pedro, but that was after the deal was made, pretty much.
That's true.
So he wouldn't be counted based purely on that.
That's true. So yeah, you don't trust devils, man. Devils are good wordplay. Devils are very good. It's like getting a wish spell, right? A DM, you need to be very careful how you word things because it can easily turn against you. And I think he should have used the boon. I think he should have used the boon to get out. I think him saving the boons for a better opportunity is one of those things that's like, I'm saving my gold, but you can't take it with you. Thing.
If he dies, there's 2 boons that Ninkara has. Nice to know.
I wonder what Ninkara. I mean, I don't think Ninkara would even use them. I think Ninkara would. If Ninkara did use them, he would probably use them in a way to just inhibit souls from making their way there somehow. I don't know, because that would also empower Ninkara. If the other places aren't getting souls at all, which it seems like they're not, but I don't know if that's completely true. There might be getting like a wisp of them or something. And you're also dealing with deities that are all trying to fill your head with propaganda too. So it's hard to get real information, right? Because one's gonna come back and one's gonna be like those islands of the the dead that never made it, right? The graves. Is that true though? Because obviously the one he was working with was a trickster.
Yeah.
Right? Because as soon as he didn't agree, he was put into a trap. Like, so was they speaking the truth or not? Like, it's plain stuff gets real mind screwy real fast when you start getting into it, because there's a lot of things at play that you just don't
still
know.
haven't done anything planes wise, I think.
It's scary. It's plain stuff is really scary. Sky hasn't been introduced like an abyssal dragon and stuff like that. Those things
hasn't
are
really
introduced
anything dragon like anyway. Like the community game is probably it.
Yeah, dude.
He has introduced giants though. It's just they're plainer.
Call the mountain. God of the mountain, dude. God of the mountain. That's a dragon. I know. I am 100% on board. That's a freaking red dragon. That sounds like a red dragon to me.
That's exactly what it sounds like.
The royal caravan, like that just sounds like a greedy ass dragon that's using stupid people to do what they want.
So there's somewhere on the planet Aurorum.
I mean, it doesn't have to be in the material plane, right? It doesn't have to be in Aurorum. I think it is. I think that was his tie to like there is either he's dropping lore that's so obscure that Green got it and no one else, or there's another part in the world of Aurorum of Eroth.
There's another
Eroth
one consonant.
Yeah, that we might run into, because he has been talking for the longest time about doing a pirate campaign. Maybe that's something that the pirate campaign will be near, where they steal things and they sell it to the royal caravan.
That would be cool.
Right. Something like that. It could just be an island chain like Hawaii, that just has a one volcano and there's God of the Mountain. Like it doesn't have to be a massive continent for that to exist. So it'd be interesting. I am so sorry I'm talking your
Hey
guys' ear
man,
off.
Hey,
I
man.
talk.
I'm enjoying the episode. There's no reason to apologize, dude. I'm I'm more worried about you because you have to do the thing. So I want to close out the
Yeah.
episode.
So okay. So there is something I wanted to talk about. I wanted to say, and I think people will be interested in, the upcoming game in January, Warmonger, as it's tentatively called. I am one of the PCs
What?
for that campaign, and I look forward to showing you guys my character of
I
Zorak.
can't wait, dude. Oh, I'm so
'Cause
mad.
Me
'Cause
and, me and Anna are going to be really interested because Game Zone's known a little bit about this as well. But like both of our non-lethal characters are also from Kajungsi for different regions. That's the see who's going to be interacting with that sort of thing.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go too much into what about the character, but I can barely hold myself back from talking about it because we've been working on it for quite a while.
We know that the
but
character's going to be dealing with the three borders of Eldma, Barrenlands, and Peridot.
Oh,
So we have
man,
three
I'm
choices
so
as to which one
excited
yours.
I'm a little disappointed because I can't watch live because of work, but I'm excited for the campaign to start. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, I am. I'm really excited too because I finally get to play GURPS. Me and Scott started talking about it, and I joined on, and he was like, "Hey, what system we should we use?" And I was like, "Really, really?" And then as soon as we picked GURPS, then Steve and his group decided to pick GURPS, and so
I
they
didn't
got to play
decide.
it for me.
It's all Cell and freaking Joey.
There you go. There's your insider information, Van. For you can hang it over people's heads to watch the episode to the end. But yep, it'll be really fun. The people that we have, Scott has the cast is going to be very interesting. It's going to be a very different take on kingdom building stuff.
I've even seen the like because Scott showed us the thing for what kingdom building and all that sort of things. Oh, that's going to be a lot fucking harder. Because there's like 5 or 6 skills, whereas the advisors in Kingmaker only need like two freaking ability scores.
Yeah, it's a little bit harder. Yeah, I can't talk too much more about
Yeah,
He'll try and get it out of me.
I'm excited, man. I can't wait now. I really want to. Yeah, I really want to see where you take this character, dude. I'm enjoying Lazlo, but I want to see where you take this character as well.
Very different than Lazlo. Very, very different. I'm pretty good at different characters, so I'm hoping that people can see a different side of my PCing skills. Maybe one a little bit more strong armed, and less weak and crybabyish.
Because I mean,
so I look forward to Rayron dying.
I think there's a lot of people that do, but as long as he makes it as hard as possible.
I don't think it'll be the end for Rayron if he dies.
I don't either.
I think Nikaro has plans.
And Devils do too. Because we know he definitely did not look in the contract fully like Ilan did.
Oh yeah, he definitely didn't.
Oh, he might go the freaking lich route with being fucking pulled apart by 3 different freaking gods that want him.
I mean, the Barb Devil just might use his skin and rule internally over as a chosen. So
he's got to get it off
he couldn't use his
slime god first, but it's potential.
I mean, I don't think the devils have that much power. The difference between those is you have planes where they have a deity ruling them, and then you have planes like the levels of hell, the city of brass, and all those that the power is distributed much more. Like there's much more different powerful entities in that world. Like there's multiple different levels of devils and stuff like that. Versus in the slime thing, I think all the power is in the deity. For the most part. Obviously there was some kind of bounty hunter. We'll call him Slime of Fett or something.
I like that name.
Blob of
Blob
Fett.
Fett.
Blob of
That's a good one. That's a good one.
all right.
man.
So yeah, that was my special announcement. I hope it was good enough for me.
Yeah,
It's been a long
It's an
time.
amazing announcement, man. Quick other not important announcements for people who watch this. Remember, there's no episodes for Throne Keeper and Regicide this week. I don't know. Is there an episode for Kingmaker or Planeswalker?
I don't know. I found out about it from Scott on Friday, so I don't know.
Well, we'll have to see. I'm gonna have a busy week myself, so I'm not looking
I know the
forward to
feeling.
it.
All the U.S. Viewers, I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving.
Have an amazing.
That would.
Everyone else have a nice week at work.
Oh, it's an American holiday. We're still working most of the
Yep.
week. That's America doesn't stop working because it's a holiday.
I get Thanksgiving off, and then I have to go and work Black Friday. So,
I mean, the only holidays I get from my job are Christmas and Easter. That's it.
oh,
Everything else is I have to organize. But there's only freebies I get.
Chris, it's so weird. It's so weird to me, Steve, that Christmas is in the summer for you. It's so weird for me to think that. Like, it's your summertime. Great, and I'm from Florida. Like, it should be easy for me to understand. Oh, it's Christmas. But it's, oh, that's cool, man. I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad that you like your job though. So
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. It's a pain at points, but that's every work.
enthusiastic. Yeah, work is work for a reason. It's called work for a
yeah,
reason, right?
true. Well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Unfunny, for coming on here and just talking with us, man. This is a great episode. I enjoyed this episode so much.
Yeah. Minus a little technical glitch, but
So
I'm
much.
sure no one else is going to notice that.
Yeah. Well, also, if you do
Yeah,
notice
sorry.
it's my fault.
The Unfunny curse extends.
Thanks to the rest of the cast for the shows this week. They've been entertaining and thanks Scott for making the world, as always.
And your time. Also, if I haven't hit you up, I will sometime this week, people. So have a good one.
Have a good one.
Oh, I'm waving. I'm so used to waving. You say bye.